We had this thing happen again. We've how many times we talk about this? It happened again, Prof. Everyone saw the birthday, and then it has to come out on the birthday. How could it not come out on the birthday? It's an anniversary.
But like, how does this just avalanche?
It's us. Our brains are broken. Our brains are all broken.
So much traction. It's just like someone farts on Twitter and it's like, yeah, it must be. And then people just start repeating it. So just, oh, did you see? Oh, it probably has to be this. Like this guy tweeted this. And it's like, none of these people know shit.
Yeah.
No one knows anything. Like,
and I mean, does anybody know Valve's history, man? Like they literally never release anything on the scheduled like arrival time. Like how are they going to work it out in a way where it's going to release on the exact date?
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO match and tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, train. It's a good vibe, train. It's a good vibe, train. Good vibe, train.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans across the globe, welcome back to another episode of HLTV Confirmed. It's 2 p.m. I think we're still in CEST. I think it's still summer here in Europe. I don't know. Maybe daylight saving still exists. Maybe it doesn't. It's a figment of your imagination. Time is a construct of man. We did this. We're only here right now because we decided that time is a thing once upon a time. And time again, we're going to talk today. Quick shout out to the sponsors, 22Bet, SteelSeries, and of course, Tradeit.gg. If you want to get some skins, you head out to our newest sponsor, SteelSeries pads, keyboards, mice, all that good stuff, headset, wearing it right now. And 22Bet, remember to gamble responsibly. Okay. Today's show, we had JL. We didn't have JL. It wasn't like a fish. It wasn't like he was on and off the hook. He just was on the hook and then off the hook. So we have no JL, but we have a Prof, we have a Striker, and we have a Lucas. And we have just, I would say, a bit more of a general Counter-Strike conversation at our feet here today, gentlemen. How do you feel about that sentiment?
I actually kind of feel sleepy for some reason. It just hit me after, the post-food sleepiness.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of annoying.
What did you eat? Is it heavy in carbohydrates?
Bro, we've been eating very healthy in this household this week, and now we've just been lazy, so we ordered some KFC.
Okay.
And yeah, it is.
Was it good at the time?
It was good.
That's the thing with food that's bad for you. It's good at the time. You need to enjoy it while you're eating it.
Yeah.
Because after, it doesn't feel worth it. But at the time, the you of then, we're speaking of time again here, Prof. They enjoyed it. And you can't fuck with that.
That person was having a nice time.
Yeah.
This person is having less of a nice time, but it is what it is, as they say. And it's inevitable. Food is food. Sometimes it's going to slow you down. But I'm sure, you got a smoothie over there going
That's what I was making last minute. Now it's probably a bit of my beard. What do we make of the beard, guys? Is it too much? It needs a trim, that's for sure.
You've had it before like this, right?
Yeah, it was better groomed before.
I think I'm just not used to it, I don't think it looks bad. Like if I saw this guy, but I didn't know who you were, I'd be like, oh, fine beard. But like the chat I know isn't that beardy. This is giving me very like forest lumberjack vibes. like a very outdoorsy vibe, which I don't know if it's like fully you. It just feels
I've been
a bit,
outdoorsy before, but it was a different lifetime ago now.
yeah.
So maybe we can get that back. The neck beard, this needs to get trimmed. It definitely.
You do that,
gets
the
a
length
bit.
can stay.
Yeah, well, look, you can play around with it. It's not. It's one of these things. It's just, do you trust a barber in Malta? That's the question. It's like a game. It's like a game show. It's like, hey, do I think I'm going to get a shit haircut and a shit beard trim?
But don't you
Sometimes
have
I
your
do.
guy? Don't you have your guy already?
He's in Cologne, man. I can't. What am I going to fly him out from Cologne?
So, but you don't have a guy there.
I've been to a barber here before that has done a moderate job, but I haven't had a haircut here in Malta since the hair transplant.
Interesting.
Can
Yeah.
you have it?
I mean,
Can you have it now?
Yeah, I've had a couple of haircuts.
Nice.
Yeah, there's been a few.
No, I have the same, like, actually not the same guy, but like I go to the same salon for like my hair
Okay.
for more than 5 years, like 7 years. I don't know.
But we
like
just want
20
something safe. It's a big part of your identity.
That's
You
the
don't want to
thing,
go
like,
in
when-
and feel like shit.
Once you find like a reliable place, that's it. It doesn't matter the price, whatever. I just go there. I know I'm not going to be fucked. I actually got a haircut like a few days ago. I think I like it. What do you
Oh, there
guys
you
think?
go. You even gaslight yourself in those situations because you're like, this barber's always good. So you gaslight yourself, even if you had a shit haircut, you still go
Well,
back the next time.
It's
You
all
give him
about the
another
mental game.
chance.
It's all about the mental game. It's just like playing CS, right? It doesn't matter if you're shit. If in your brain you think you're good, you're more likely to win.
Okay. No, that's true.
That is true. Yeah,
Yeah,
100% works.
We could take it from the Magic's headline on Donk. He's going for his peaks. He's going for his, he's going for his cuts. He's getting his fades. He's making, he's getting his
You see how
lineups.
small he is, though?
Donk, yeah. I was watching
Tiny.
yesterday with Justin. Justin was like, he's so small. Like, yeah, Justin, he's 16.
Yeah,
He's men
can be
grow into
16
like
and be-
21.
That is true. I presume he will still grow, but it was unexpected.
Yeah, but if you're doing what we've been doing, Prof, they're inside playing video games all day. These aren't the kids out there playing on the sports field.
so
getting
like
the vitamin D.
lack of sun.
Yeah, too young for that. We missed it. He's doing Counter-Strike instead. I couldn't believe that. I tuned in. I'm like, wait, is this essentially a Russian LAN in Serbia? It's like, oh, yeah, it
Basically,
is.
yeah.
And
Okay,
then
well,
some
fair
folks
enough.
there.
Yeah, I thought they were like, they bring like a token team that's not Russian. Because
Yeah.
outside of that, there's like 2 Belarusians and 1 Ukrainian and then 2 Kazakhstanis. I think I have an account. And one of those is a coach.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on here? But
Yeah,
Donk
and
on
Eternal
LAN?
Fire are the other ones who are already out.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
true.
it helps that just like all of them just live in Serbia now. Like I think Eternal Fire are just boot camping maybe. But other than that, all of these teams, I'm pretty sure just live there. So it's
Yeah.
just like a neighborhood land, but it's, top 30, 35.
It's pretty cool.
teams.
It's kind of funny that even BetBoom were there, but they just didn't play in this tournament. And I think Cloud9 also lived there, so they technically could have played this tournament. It could have been a pretty decent line.
Yeah, well, but
It's still pretty decent to be fair. Like there's like Virtus Pro spread 4 is 1 win.
I think getting to see stuff like this happening, and it's bringing back some of the old school LAN vibes. Like they're all in just like I guess they're in a boot camp room, but it's just like a LAN cafe, like it used to be. Everybody
Yeah,
has their
more or
own
less.
space in a LAN cafe. You've got your own row, you got your own area, depending on how good the LAN cafe is. And you're seeing in the rooms in the background, like all the support staff are in there and everything. And it's just like a bit more like an old school LAN, which is kind of fun. Because I was watching some of the games yesterday. There was everybody should have been excited to see Donk on LAN. Like if people
yeah.
won't see, and I'm reading threads after like 10 rounds, and I'm like, man, first of all, the only thing that these kids can't learn when they're grinding at home with all the new resources is what it's going to be like at LAN. The new environment, a different toilet you have to take a shit in. What is my food going to, like, seriously, it's stuff is, what is my mouse pad orientation? Oh shit, can't get the same height on this chair. All of those things you can't learn at home watching a Not Out Here video or grinding Facer. All those things you need to get acclimatized to yourself or hope that you have good people with you. So it's like, man, like, how are people being so critical of people so young in these environments? It takes ages, unless you grew up on LAN. Some people back in my day, you grew up, I didn't have a PC, I couldn't afford one. My parents wouldn't buy me one. I had to start at LAN cafes. It starts differently, right? But yeah. Well, gentlemen, I guess
No, he's been destroying it. That's the thing. Like he's been great.
10 bad, not bad, like average rounds. But like by the end of the day, he was the highest rated in the tournament. So
just mauling people, just having a good time with it. Well, I mentioned we're going to be a bit more colloquial, a bit more conversational here today. Is there anything we have to get knocked off the list, Prof? We got the Vox Populi, we got the Skinionaire.
yes, that's those two things. That's
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, we can do those two things at some point throughout today. Otherwise, I guess I want to get people in Twitch chat a little bit more involved. We opened it up on Twitter as well for people to have some questions. So we'll probably just drift between different topics. And then I guess for the three of us and Lucas as well, maybe Lucas is listening, if we have anything that's been a bit of a gripe, anything that's been, a bit of an issue or not an issue or something that we want to talk about that we haven't had in the last couple of weeks to have the opportunity to do so, I guess we can do that because we don't have a clear direction here today. So should we get into the news?
Yeah, let's start with the recent news and then...
All right, Lucas, roll the bumper. Let's get into the recent news. All right, first bit of news. I think this is a bit more encompassing than just this one event. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too ahead of myself with this, but CSGO Asia Championship returns with a $500,000 event in Shanghai with the teams who have been invited so far: ENCE, G2, FaZe, Liquid Mouse, all international teams. There are 3 more teams to find. One is quite hilariously on your website. It says check back later, which I like a lot. So when you check the event page for CSGO Asia Championship 2023, the final spot, 2 of them are PPL Season 5, and then the last one is check back later. So I like that. Knows? You've left your options open there, haven't you, CSGO Asia Championship? I like it. I really like it. You can do whatever you want with that. But
it's already pretty much an invite event, right? So might as well just do whatever the last one.
Yeah, 8-team event, $500,000 is the prize. It's going to be in early November. And other than that, I mentioned the teams that were there. I mentioned them again, all international: ENCE, G2, FaZe, Mouse, Liquid. Obviously, some bigger names like a Vitality or a Heroic missing from that list here. It'd be interesting. I imagine for some teams, they have bigger fan bases in China than others. So there's probably reasons why some of them are going and some of them would decline that. But the group stage got double elimination, best of 3. Opening matches are best of 1. Group winners advance to the semifinals. Second and third place teams in each group proceed to the quarterfinals, and playoffs a single elimination, best of 3. So, what do we feel about this? What is the general sentiment of seeing? We haven't been back to China in a long time.
Honest question, why would someone say no to this?
Travel?
Travel? Yeah. But no, it's November 8th to 12th, and then Blast Finals are November 22nd. So 10 days after this. It just seems like seems like a pretty good tournament all in all. It's weird for me to maybe not even see some bigger teams here.
Like a Vitality or Heroic?
Yeah.
Well, Heroic can't go into Oz, right? They're not doing Sydney, so it doesn't surprise me that they wouldn't be going to China.
I mean, that's the weird part about it almost, that if they skip one of those, then, why just skip everything that's too far? At some point, you have to
but that
plan
might
tournaments.
happen now. That might start happening a bit more, I think.
Yeah, sure. But if you consider what Heroic have been doing, they're going to play in EPL. That's until at most October 1st, when the grand final is. And then they're going to have, basically a month and a half off until fall final.
Maybe they're expecting the CS2 drop.
I don't know if they're going to be playing in the Rubek Cup. I guess that's a possibility, but that's online. Same with Thunderpick,
They're
right?
playing Thunderpick.
They're playing Thunderpick?
Is
okay.
October 25th. No, what did I say?
27th.
Yeah, October 27th to November 5th, which kind of overlaps with the Rubek thing. So you can only pick one or the other. But ENCE and Mouse are playing that as well. So
yeah. But kind of surprised because it's just going to leave them with almost a 2-month gap. And especially if they don't go far, which group are they in terms of Pro League? It's Group B even. So if by chance they don't make it further, they probably will, but they'll be 2 months without LAN events.
Which is interesting because
maybe they're waiting for the Hussar Cup.
Oh, that's true too.
That one's getting pushed for sure. I don't know where, but there
has to be room for it, surely.
Yeah, there should be.
So this is just about working out the particulars, I suppose. It's more than just moving a date, but...
Yeah, but that's the curious part is ENCE is a part of that too. At least they were announced before, so we'll see, I guess.
ENCE are playing everything. They're the CSGO Asia Championship, Thunderpick, Elisa Masters. They're just going to take it all. They're going to take it all this year.
But that's good. This kind of brings up to one of the topics that I was going to just talk about today in general. As I mentioned, we haven't been in China in some time, but with more of these events, which are likely going to crop up for a number of reasons, I would imagine one of them being come 2025 with the new Valve changes to the way tournaments need to be run, the rules that they need to abide to, which we still know very little about, right? There's only been those 3 main criteria that came out with the release. And I'm sure there's a lot more to come and they need to work through those details, just like they need to work on their ranking. But essentially going forward, what I've been thinking about here, and this is why it's also difficult for me at this current time to kind of be too critical on a lot of teams, especially top teams with good rosters, because we're in I I don't even know how to frame it properly. I've been using volatile on broadcast in terms of like how all over the place everything is, but we're kind of like in the twilight zone. We've been here before, right? We know what this like overlap of changing between games is, but this is the first time it's ever not been like a whole new game on a different engine, right? Like sure, CZ. Actually, CZ would have been the only other time that it would have been quite similar, but that was only like a small thing, and that never fully took over from 1.6, right? We still had everything kind of going on. This CS2 is a replacement. It's a replacement for what we're playing right now. So I'm not giving, and I've said this on a bunch of times, this isn't like a cop-out. This is just like how I think their brain, like the players' brains are. This is what I think is probably going on. It's like you have all this shit in the future. Next major's ages away. A lot of these rosters are a little bit shaky. CS2, what is that going to change? If you're an older player, what does your future look like? If you're a younger player, you're hungry to grind all the new particulars of the game. It's kind of like a great leveling in the sense that we've never been in this position before with so many resources available in terms of Nada here and all those other YouTubers making content, in terms of all the different tools. Like we've got, there's a bunch of fun Skybox stuff. I don't know how much of it is public that's coming out, which is going to level up the game again. There's all this refrag stuff in terms of tools of what players can do to get up to scratch. So we're in this period of time where you can get good at Counter-Strike quickly if you're willing to put in the time. We have a new version of the game coming out, which is going to change the approach and detail some of the particulars that the top-level pros are looking at, as well as meta with the smokes and everything. So right now, I'm essentially just thinking from event to event, because every event we're talking about, when is the CS2 coming out? And none of us have any idea. Like, we really don't. We're just shooting in the dark.
Anyone can plan for that, because that would be kind of foolish, like skipping tournaments because that's just silly.
I mean, the interesting part would be that, I mean, this could mean, obviously it could mean nothing, it could mean something, but the interesting part is Perfect World is organizing this, it's the CSE tournament as they have in the past, I don't know, like the previous 2 years they hosted it. And obviously they're the CS distributor in China, at the same time, they're not just tournament organizers. They probably are in on some level of information on when CS2 will be coming out. Obviously, we're working with the summer date that could be in the next month. It might not be, who knows. But obviously, if they put on an event, that we also expect to be kind of a testing ground for the major that they will host, so the second major of the 2024 that we'll host in a year, which is still unannounced. But, we reported on this about a month ago. So I would assume that by then we will definitely have CS2 out, and that's going to be at least one of the first big events that we'll have in CS2. Maybe Sydney is going to be, because it's not that far before that. That could be like the first one. It doesn't, like, obviously EPL is not going to be that, so it can only be like Sydney at the earliest. So I'm kind of surprised that like a team like Heroic would skip that if they even got invited. It's entirely possible that they didn't.
So your expectation is by that point, because of what you're foreseeing, you think there's a strong likelihood it will be CS2?
Yeah, I mean, even like when we were asking them, like, what happens if either CSGO, like, it's only recently released and whatever, and like the response we got, I'll just, I'm not going to read out the whole thing, but they basically, the response was like, the name will be changed to CS2 Asia Championship once CS2 is officially ready. Not if, once.
Okay.
So basically, they are working with the assumption that CS2, it will be a CS2 tournament, but at the moment, because CS2 is not officially launched, it's still called CSGO.
It feels like a lot of people are running with that, though. Like, people get so excited.
I don't know why.
It's so crazy. We had this thing happen again. We've how many times we talk about this? It happened again, Prof. Everyone saw the birthday, and then when it has to come out on the birthday, how could it not come out on the birthday? It's an anniversary.
But like, how does this just avalanche?
It's us. Our brains are broken. Our brains are all broken.
So much traction. It's just like someone farts on Twitter and it's like, yeah, it must be. And then people just start repeating it. It's just, oh, did you see? It probably has to be this. Like, this guy tweeted this. And it's like, none of these people know shit.
Yeah.
No one knows anything. Like,
does anybody know Valve's history, man? Like, they literally never release anything on the scheduled like arrival time. Like, how are they going to work it out in a way where it's going to release on the exact date that CS has at an anniversary, man? Like, I don't know. People are just, I guess it's just wishful thinking.
People ask, though, for there to be more like marketing and more hands-on stuff done by Valve. It's like, why?
They don't need to.
Why would you?
Everybody's doing it for them, man.
Exactly. Like, when there's anticipation for a product, like, the people are going to do it for you. That's quite literally what's happening on the day-to-day. It's fucking insane.
It's just so funny that somebody just like one morning, somebody just says like, it would be a nice day for a big release, you know, like, and just like emoji or whatever, and then like people just like just go with that, you know, and then for the entire day they're like, oh, maybe CS2 is launching today, and everybody's like, why the fuck would that be the case?
I love this comment. Some people are like Swifties, but for Counter-Strike. Like this is the level of like people are reading into everything, and there isn't even much to read in. So they're kind of just making shit up.
Yeah, not bad.
It's kind of hilarious.
I don't mind that. People are going to camp out for tickets to events soon. Maybe we can get to that point once we get a bit more want in it. Okay. Well, I wanted to bring something up here that isn't related to the recent news. It's kind of happening recently.
Yeah.
It's to do. Okay, I feel like I need to preface this. I don't want the pitchforks to come out here at me. Everybody, and this is for both sides of the fence. This is for Counter-Strike fans and for Valorant fans. First of all, I know nothing about Valorant. I would never pretend to. I don't enjoy Valorant. That's not meant to diss your game. That's just saying I don't enjoy it. Okay. But what I do like to do is I do like to keep up with what's going on the other side of the fence. Do I care what the fucking smoke boy agent can do? No, I don't. Do I care that Jet had some nerfs for its smoke and its updraft? No. But what I do like looking at is different ways they're doing their broadcast and putting on their product. And let me get your opinions on this stage here, gentlemen. Lucas, I'm gonna give you. I'll put it in here. Everyone can bring it up. Lucas, you can bring this up with people at home. So this is by this guy works at Valorant. He works for Riot. I don't know. I mean, but they get their devs to do videos. Their devs do videos. It's crazy. Like they're there and they're presenting. We know what they look like.
Sat down and did an interview with a guy or something, or had lunch with a guy that made like a character or something in the game. I'm like, this is crazy.
That may happen.
It's kind of silly.
But okay, so check this out, right? This stage. So and we're not bringing this up here. Anyone who makes a comment about the amount of people in the audience, I'm personally banning you from Twitch chat. That's not the conversation. Don't be an idiot. Okay? But this arena looks like custom built for like the show. Like look at the stage, look at where the bleachers are.
Where is this?
This is for the Valorant. I don't even know what. I think it's like their big one. I think it's like their major. I don't know.
But where?
It's,
where
I
I think it's in America somewhere. I haven't even paid attention to that.
Okay.
But so looking at this though, I was watching some of the games, just tuning in, and
it's LA. Yeah. Okay.
Looking at the only thing I don't like is the semicircle for the tables, because you can't see all your teammates' monitors. And I think a big part of LAN is being in a row and being able to look at your teammates' monitors. It's a learned skill that you pick up. So I would love to see the table straight so you could do that. But all in all, just looking at this, like the way that the screens are orientated, so people can see wherever they're seated throughout the arena. This is dead center. It's got some cool screens around, which also have information on them throughout the games. Once again, it's the central point, which I think is what some of the Counter-Strike events that we have lack, because we're doing a stage setup, whereas this is a like a stage concert setup, whereas this is a central point. The only like big issue I have is I'd love it to feel closer, like more like it was boiling over. The fans were closer, more on top of you. But the way that a lot of this information here is displayed, I think is really cool. I just wanted to kind of lump this into the conversation because we're in a space that's always evolving as well, right?
What do you think this does better than CS right now?
Well, I think that
format like that.
We've noted in some of the group stages, right, since Blast started to do the one back in, I guess, before COVID happened in 2022, right? Yeah, whereas a little bit, it wasn't perfectly face-to-face, but may as well have been. The glass was there. And then obviously ESL have done it for Katowice and then Cologne this year as far as the group stages go. And I think like this here is showing us again that these things, the reason there's more hype, people are getting out of the chairs, they're bantering, they're standing up, they're yelling. That right there is bringing back the core of this, that it's a competition, right? Like that's the key for me and what gets missed a lot. It's not like a presentation. I'm not going out there to show you with a PowerPoint how good I am at Counter-Strike. I'm going out there to dominate the 5 individuals on the other side of the server for the glory of everybody standing around. So I feel like I like the fact they're facing each other. That's my biggest key of this. And Lucas is putting from Liam G. They do some cool AR stuff. I think that's all fine. I'm just looking at more the setup of this. I still feel like the audience feels a little bit far away for what I would love. But
yeah, it's really hard. I imagine it's pretty hard, even if you're all the way up at the ledge. You know, like it's probably pretty hard to see what the players are doing.
Yeah, it feels like it's a void away, but it's hard to tell not being there. But I was just bringing this into the conversation because we like to have conversations about stuff. I don't. Some people in chat are bringing up the teabagging stuff. That's fine, man. They can be
completely different things.
Hardline on their teabag and stuff. That's cool. Let them do their things, right? They have it. I don't want to get on my rant. We're going to stay away from the rant. We're just talking about something nice. So what do we think?
I think like I like the face-to-face angle, or at least like angle, but I think like we could have the stages that we have now and just have kind of angled transparent smart glass thing.
So more
for
like
CS.
Katowice.
Yeah, like
Katowice is quite far away from each other, but they're angled.
And they have the big wall that comes up, right? So if that wall was just a glass, like a smart glass, then that would be cool. But it needs to be a bit closer, because otherwise, like the whole like shouting and stuff doesn't really. I don't think it can be seen. You know, you need to be in like a reasonable distance. But I think it can work.
Some people are mentioning Rio Major, which was 360 as well, but obviously where the people were seated and everything like that.
I mean,
was fucked.
The arena wasn't necessarily really set up to be able to hold that, or at least maybe ESL didn't think it through. It's hard to say for me exactly like what the faults were, but I think in general, like
that was
Rio
the
Major,
premium seating where what happened after COVID, right? Because it got canceled the first time. People didn't have to refund their tickets. If you didn't want to refund your ticket and you wanted to keep it from the first time you bought your ticket, you were more than able to do that. So ESL didn't resell those premium seats. They assumed that a lot of them would come to the event, which they didn't, and it looked empty and really bad.
Also that premium seating was the worst.
Yes, position.
It was like angled in such a weird way.
Yeah, the stage was set up in a way that there wasn't place to put screens, and it was actually pretty terrible. So that sucked. But
some of the harder viewing
that's
positions.
kind of the problem with these like circular stages, that those like the floor seating is hard to get proper, because you want the screens to be in the air, but that's where the stage actually is. So then, it's kind of a tricky thing.
That's why for me, it needs to be more like a pit. Like I need it to be more sheer, you know, it needs to be you know, right on top of it, almost like an auditorium looking down at a lecturer type thing.
Does anyone remember the tournament? It was like a 1v1 HP Omen thing that happened in London, and they had like Simple, Device, Nico.
Oh, it was
guys.
like an octagon or something, right?
It was kind of like that. It was built something like this.
And Henry casted a 5v5 version like that, I think. At ICE?
The ICE challenge, was the same. It was a similar thing, I think.
Kind of a similar thing. I was there for the 1v1 thing, and it was kind of a similar thing. It's literally like if I'm sitting in the front first seat, there's like a 2-meter drop, and then people are playing down
okay.
There. So that's kind of how it.
But it was just small. It was a pretty small arena type thing, right? Like
it was like I think it was like 4 PCs. So
no, I'm talking about like the whole place. Like how many people would you fit in there? Maybe a couple hundred max, right?
Like, it was like a small venue. It was like
that's the problem, right? Like if you want to fit thousands of people, and like then like not everybody can see properly on the players, right? So it's going to be hard.
Like a smaller venue to some degree, like 1,000. Maybe you could make something.
But
like that.
I've had this conversation with like before, in the sense that I think what we should be doing is not aiming to have a 15,000 people arena and try and sell it out, is to have a 3,000 people arena and sell it out, and have 3,000 more people who wanted to go who couldn't, who are like, well, fuck, I'm going to buy tickets next time. And they get an elite level viewing experience. Like, I still think the way that we're doing things has a lot of room to evolve. And I still think we're catering to spectacle news level. I want to end up on, this is a reference for the Australians out there, Channel 7 news at 6 p.m. or some bullshit. Like, fuck that. Like, for me, the competition side of this is the core. Obviously, entertainment is why we watch, but the competition is the entertaining part. So you want people to be talking shit or getting hyped or whatever. That's the visual. If the visual is go to an arena and essentially watch a movie, well, what am I doing? Like, why don't I just watch from home? I want to be part of the environment, right? And the environment wants to feel like it's you've got it running through your blood. You want to be fired up. You want to be excited for what comes next. And I feel like the more intimate that feeling is, the better. Like, I look at something, I know it's completely different. You have two guys in a ring trying to pummel each other's lights out and make each other bleed for entertainment, right? But a ring of something like the UFC or the boxing is very small, and there's thousands of people packed out to look at that, and they're watching that on screens and stuff, but they're the central focal point because that's where the biff's happening.
Yeah.
You know, that's my key. The biff, even though it's in a digital server that exists in this space, no, is it a digital? It's a LAN server. It's a real server. It exists in an actual place. It exists in a little box. Maybe we put the LAN server in the center of the stage.
At the end of the day,
we should put the LAN server in the center of the stage. We've cracked it. We've solved it. Perfect. All right, cool. We can shut this down. Thanks for watching, everybody. Anyway, I tangented to us here a little bit. Do we want to move on?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Okay, so
actually just a fun fact from the Valorant screenshot, the team Paper Rex that was on the Asian team is actually like founded by the guy that used to run CSGO to Asia,
right? Yeah.
Isn't it Ben Tet's little brother in the team?
I think so as well. Yeah.
Or is it Xcure's little brother? Maybe Xcure's little brother.
I think
Forsaken.
Xcure.
Yeah.
Forsaken, yeah.
Forsaken, but not the other not the Indian.
Not the Indian one.
Forsaken.
Yeah, some more Indian
The-
players got banned just from Faces the other day. So,
Indonesian, right?
yes.
So that's just a fun fact. I'm happy for his success. Like,
And Ethan is in the grand final.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Shout out to
sad
Ethan
for
one
his
time.
success.
But yeah,
could
because
have
he was a
been
good player.
Could have been better in CS.
He could have stayed with us. Get right's in the chat. What's up, Chris? All right, what else we got rocking and rolling here? Oh yeah, there was lots of good Counter-Strike the last couple of days. Like
Actually, yes.
actually good Counter-Strike to watch online. And I know there's a lot of like tier 2, tier 3 tournaments happening all the time, but we've had a lot of qualifiers, and those qualifiers obviously come with stakes. For those people who missed it, BetBoom's victory against 9 was a fun one. They put it up. Actually, I might be able to get the link for you can find it
I
yourself.
put it in chat for Lucas, so
Okay.
you should have it.
Yeah, that's just the BetBoom guys, which is that it's the new roster that's come together. nafany, Siren, Zorti, Chiron, and Danisters, who I'd literally never heard of before. So I went and he was their best performer. He had a lot of impact. He looked sharp. He looked very confident in the stuff he was doing.
Was he
So-
overall the best?
I think in that series. I think in that series, wasn't he?
Siren was. Siren 120.
In the series?
No, I don't know. No, I'm talking about the whole tournament.
In a okay.
In the 9
I was just-
series,
in
I
that,
think
in that
he
9
was, yeah.
series, he was pretty good. He was towards the top.
Yeah.
But he was just fun to watch. The complexion of the team is quite fun to watch. You've got like nafany and Chiron who are just like unhinged, right? These two are just going to run in and do anything. And then you've obviously got Zordi on there, which I think a lot of people are like, why the fuck is Zordi not on fours? Then you look at fours now and you're like, where the fuck is Jerry? What the fuck is going on? Here's the video. We can show you this one. This is them getting amped. Look how jacked they are.
That's
Like,
for
and this is
qualifying for
awesome,
Sydney
man.
even.
Yeah, this is what you want to see. So this team just coming together, qualifying for Sydney. Obviously, them getting there is the next big problem. Hopefully, that's not going to be too many issues.
Probably not.
But it's great to see, the joy of that. And I think for nafany, he did an interview with you guys as well just yesterday. His story is something which is still very early, even though he's been part of Cloud9 and everything like that. But it was fun to watch. And that was one of the fun games of CS that I had on my telly yesterday. I can't feel worse for 9, really. Like, they ended up winning Ancient in that series and still lost the series. Like, guys, what are we going to do? What are 9 meant to do? So, yeah, man, you don't need those. You definitely don't need those. But I don't know. I thought it was some fun CS. That was one of the games.
I think it's kind of cool just to talk about BetBoom is that they've been together for a fucking month and they're already qualified for a big event. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that like they're all playing together on LAN as well is a really good sign, right? Gets them kind of up to speed a little bit quicker. I watched the Vertex game against LFO again, which is, people might remember Hats. Hats played for the Renegades guys in the past. And then there's a couple of remnants of the old LFO that was at Pro League a couple of seasons ago with Ben the Legend, Savage's dad. So Savage was there, Licky was there. But it was Vertex, the one who qualified. So right now, I think in Oz, it's not like, obviously the best team is the Greyhound guys. But then after that, I think, there's probably a conversation between the likes of Vertex and Rooster, because we have Rooster for Pro League, but we have Vertex for Sydney. So I don't think it's clear cut who like the next best is. Lin Vision beat Cyclone or 5 Clone. What
This is a question for
that's
you.
That's the old Adam team for people who don't know. It's like Kazen.
Without checking, Chad, what is the logo of Lin Vision?
It's an animal.
Yeah. What
I'm
animal?
not sure what type of an animal. I kind of feel like I don't know what a mountain lion looks like, but I feel like it's like a mountain lion. It's like a bear meets like a big cat or something.
Aha, that's actually really funny. That's like an inside joke to this. Like, we had this conversation in the news chat where like Lucas is like, wait, I thought Lin Vision's logo was a tiger, and I'm like, it looks obviously like a bear.
I'm bringing it up now.
And if you look at it now, it is a bear. It's there's no real conversation about it. It is just a bear.
It's a snarling bear.
But it used to be a tiger.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
They changed it.
So it's just one of those things where your brain just like merges things together and it creates a fake reality that's never existed. Like, it existed, but it's not true. I saw this new logo. It's been like used for 3 years. Saw it so many times, and in my head, I was convinced it was a tiger. If you asked me like $100, I'd like put it down instantly and be wrong.
Just changed their logo. Well, I
The
guess they
Mandela
didn't do the
effect.
rebrand. Yeah, fair enough. Hey, gotta respect that. I'm looking for the old one here. I can't even find it. It's all right. Maybe someone can link it in chat at some point. Fair enough. Well, they qualified over Rare Adam, which is Kaze and the boys. Mercury. They were here last time round. They were here at Pro League last time round. Those lads. Why are we talking about Pro League? We're talking about Sydney. But yeah, who else qualified?
Mongols didn't make it, right? What happened?
Nope.
What happened? with
They
them?
really struggled.
They
man.
lost to Cyclone.
5 clone.
Yeah,
Whatever.
So there was one more team that qualified. Alige did that tweet yesterday. He tweeted about North American teams, which he was.
Oh,
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like impressed with. There was something along those lines. Let me see if I can find it.
They lost to Stanislaus' team, Forsaken, right?
They went into the lower bracket, right?
Yeah, in the beginning. So it's not like it was a breeze, even though Complexity are kind of like the only big team from North America, actually from North America now.
Yeah, so Alige did put out a tweet. Let me see if I can find I'll whip up the qualifier thing here so we can see how it all went down. So there was in the tweet, Alige said, "We have a lot of teams that have potential here in NA, and since we have been practicing here, we have about 4 teams that are pretty good to practice." I ignore the 4 because he goes on to list 5 teams. But M80, which is Swish's new team, Forsaken, which was the one that Prof Striker was just referencing, where they have Warden stand in, Nouns, which is coached by Semphis, Wildcard, which I'll be honest, I had to look up. I had, not that I haven't heard of Wildcard, I've definitely seen the name, but none of the players are leaping off the fucking page at me. We've got Brett, Cryptic, Freshy, Slight, and Darty, Prof.
Yeah.
And I love Darty because he love a dart. Look at him. He's got the mullet of a century. I've got to respect this from Matthew Papaloskas. Look at his fucking mullet, Lucas. Bring this shit up.
What kind of last name is this?
This is like some Joe Dirt level shit. There's even pictures of him at LAN with it. Mad respect.
I mean, he's got to be Greek, right?
With that last name, potentially.
With a W? I don't think W.
That's a weird one, yeah. Whatever.
Look at this, Lucas. Bring this picture up for everybody playing it. No, wait, hold up. I got this one. Bring that one up. Bang.
I love this.
Bring up this guy's mullet right here. Yeah, well, keep clicking. You can't stop clicking, mate. But yeah, that at least going on to say, so for all NA fans, we have a lot of potential of up-and-comers. Keep watching, giving us and them your support. So that's a nice little message from North America. There he is. There's the mullet. Look at that. That is ferocious. Mad respect. That's HLTV award of the day right there.
There we go.
Nice.
Haircut of the year. Definitely beats Electronics.
Oh, people didn't like. Why didn't we like Electronics haircut? It was showing his personality.
Is that his personality?
I don't know. Well, we got you talking about it, didn't he?
That's true. It's like what's it called? Just like that. It's drama alert. People are talking about it. It's working. Anything for no bad publicity in Chad SpongeBob's book right here. Seems like.
Well, I think you get to a point where you struggle with the internet for so long, like I did, that eventually one day it breaks, and then for some reason
you become the internet.
Yeah, and now you just embrace everything. You just read all the memes. You're in all the forums. You're talking about Nelex 5000. Still, nobody from the last episode. I didn't see any talk about Nelex somehow. Really thought he was a fixture of the of the forums. What's Chris saying in the chat, man? He's out here talking away, and he said something.
He's juking us.
Oh, I swear he said he asked something about Halzak if he played from North America. I think Halzak got the visa, right? We saw a tweet.
Yeah,
from
I think
Halzak
he's talking
with the
about
visa.
the mullet.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's my bad.
At least I would assume that's what he's talking about, since we're talking about mullets.
Well, like
previously,
he would play the qualifiers from EU on high ping, so I think he is there now. But like this whole thing that Complexity lost to the Stanislaus team that is being like managed by Warden, who used to be in Complexity for years, and then Warden even stood in for a map and dropped a 115 rating on them. I looked up the stats for this year. Players above 35 years, 1 or more maps. Warden #1.
Matt Dickens.
Yeah.
Not 1 or more maps. I mean,
reaction shot on Drally. You can't fuck with it. Is it Warden who talks about the reaction shot on Drally?
I don't know.
Come on, don't tell me I'm too old.
Me, to be honest.
I'm too old.
Even for me who watched a lot of that stuff, probably.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, what's this CCT Oceania business, gentlemen? Someone spilled the beans on this. I didn't read. I saw it. I went, well, that's good. But I didn't read it.
I mean, it's basically just this in our terms, kind of a small tournament, but obviously in Oceania, anything that they put on there is a good thing. just because they don't have as much stuff as we do over here in Europe. But yeah, it's something like 25K for the Oceania teams, and I think they will have some chance to qualify for the like online finals that are happening in Europe. So it could be like a path for them to come over here again for something bigger than just their tournaments.
Are any of my Aussie friends in the chat right now? What the fuck is LPL? Like, what's happened here? What have I
Let's
missed?
play live. I don't know.
I know. I've been able to discern that much, but I need to know who are the people behind this. I've been disconnected for 10 years now. What's going on? Who are these people? Are these even
League of Legends people? Are they?
I don't know.
LPL is LPL is like a League of Legends Chinese league or whatever.
They bought out Cybergamer. Okay, that doesn't help me at all.
Who the fuck is Cybergamer?
Cybergamer was like, so we had a couple. We had like ESAU for a while, which is back in the 1.6 days. We had Dice VIP. Then we had Got Games, which was really big for Source. And then we had Cybergamer, which was really big for Call of Duty. But when Got Games shut down, Cybergamer kind of took over everything. And the other Oceanic tournaments is Oceania ANZ Champs by ESL. Yeah, I figured as much. I did, well, and then we get whatever raw qualifiers come down to Oz for different RMRs and all that kind of shit. Conky was tweeting about it. I think he's a part of it somewhere. Okay, so I have someone I could talk to. But otherwise, like this stuff, when I see it, the reason I'm like, well, I didn't read it is because it could mean anything, guys. Like I've been part of Australian Counter-Strike with the dodgy shit where you'd sign a contract which would give you nothing. It'd give you a jersey. Actually, you might get a jersey out of it, maybe a TeamSpeak server. And then like you'd want to go and do things and get made all these promises and stuff. It's just a fucking farce a lot of the time. So I've seen the underbelly of Australian esports and some of the greasy motherfuckers out there who are just trying to make some money while people are trying to chase their dreams and go play overseas for fun or seriousness or whatever. But when I see this stuff, you know, I go, oh, who's this? I'm sure you guys got that in your part of the world.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are probably fine.
I mean, I guess so. Hopefully.
LPL, they said they're pretty legit. All right, I'm going to take the people in Twitch chat. There we go. They're pretty legit. Cool. Great. Wonderful. All right. Well, we learn about it. There's money, and this is good. Smaller regions, 2025. Things on the way up. Prof double thumbs up. He just confirmed it.
Things are exploding. It's going in the right direction. We have the India tournament going on right now. Did you see the pictures of Dinko in India?
Is this like a travel show? Dinko in India?
Dinko in India. Dinko around
travel
the world.
show.
Dinko around the world.
Let me have a look. I saw him having a curry with Blair in a club.
He is kind of like a, you know, if you want to do this like traveling around the world in a van, like Dinko is kind of a small guy. Blair is also a small guy.
He's tall. He's skinny though.
No, is he?
Dinko's tall, mate.
I guess
he's taller than me.
He has this like baby
he's taller
attributes.
than you. No, you're tall. I reckon he's taller than you.
He's definitely not taller than Prof.
I don't know. Dinko's pretty tall, man.
No way.
How tall are you, Dink? We've got to find out how tall Dinko is.
If Dinko's listening,
Dinko in the middle of the chat. In the middle of the cast.
I'll literally just message him. Wait, I'll just message him. How tall are you? No introduction, no like hi. It's my first message to him ever. Just how tall are you?
We need to know. Get it in centimeters. Make sure he doesn't give it to you in like feet and inches. He probably will. He's pretty tall though. He's a tall lad. He's one of the tallest blokes. Definitely.
I added in centimeters, please.
He's one of the tallest blokes on the talent days, mate, for sure.
I mean, Banks is the tallest, and Bardolph.
That's true.
Bardolph is way taller.
But I would say Banks. Dinko's in the conversation. I wouldn't say he's as tall as them, but he's in the conversation.
I don't know. Maybe
also in front of them.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. Okay. Someone else. All right. We got the height police.
Today we learned Chad is small.
Yeah. I'm not the tallest. I'm an average height.
I think
You're like 180, no?
Yeah. I'm an average height. I'm an average guy.
That's not even average. That's like above average, I would say.
Just average.
Depends on which country you're in.
Yeah. Just that's all. The only reason that, you know, it works overseas is because I'm Australian in Europe. If I was an Australian in Australia, I'd just be less than average. I'd just be a fucking crumb. I'd be a pastry flake of a sausage roll and a couch cushion one afternoon.
You guys have sausage rolls too?
Oh, do we have sausage rolls, mate? Okay. Do we have fucking sausage rolls?
I know you share a lot of culture with the UK, but
oh yes, indeed, Striker. We do sausage rolls and pies better than the UK, and I know a lot of people might think that's blasphemy, but oh dear, we've got pastries coming out the wazoo, mate. We do them better than most.
And this is coming from the guy who has both passports. Oh, okay. Dinko says 185. All right, he is pretty tall.
Okay, how tall are you, Prof?
187.
Oh, 2 centimeters.
Got him.
All right. See, I told you Dinko was tall, but just not as tall as Prof.
Okay.
Lucas also messaged Dinko.
Everyone, we're getting live reporting now on Dinko's height.
Dinko just I mean, from me and Lucas messaging him, I think he knows that he's been a topic of conversation on HLTV Confirmed.
There you go.
So for when you're watching in the VOD, hello Dinko.
I hope India is treating you well.
Well, seems like it is. Blair's nightclub curry, the best curry ever. Love that. Love that for him.
That's the picture I got to when I went. Is that as far as okay? I guess if Blair's taking him out to the top class joints just like that. To be fair, the best food in most places is not at like some fucking 5-star restaurant. It's at some place, some mom and pop driven place where the food is god tier.
It's also the vibes. You also get the vibes. Like
True.
It's easy to get like 5-star, 7-course Michelin restaurant vibes. It's always the same vibe. But when you go to like, I know this guy's, I once tried to hook up with his niece vibe of a joint, then you're getting like real lore. And if someone has good stories, that is Sudenble. He has stories. He has 6 stories.
Oh, I've heard a few. Just a few of them. That's enough.
Blair's seen some shit. That's for sure. He's definitely seen some shit. Okay. Australian Counter-Strike, we done with it? We'll have to learn more. I'll have to learn more about this LPL. I'll message Gomez. He'll let me know. He'll tell me. He's been involved in all the fun stuff. Okay. Do we want to do the Skinionaire? Should we do the Skinionaire?
Yeah.
Let's do the Skinionaire. Lucas, are you ready?
No. He literally just got startled.
If he's not ready, it's okay.
You literally hear him do this in his chair. Oh, fuck.
You see the clip of Drew Barrymore on she's sitting there giving some talk, and then someone yells out in the crowd like, Drew Barrymore, I love you, and then she like actually gets startled. And I only watch, this is me, Boomer Man, watching Instagram reels. I don't know any more about the story. I didn't look into it, but I was just kind of,
that's your
it
story.
was like Lucas getting startled, but she was fearing for her life. Whereas Lucas, it doesn't even sound like he's fearing for his job at this point. The guy's just fucking phoning it in. He's got Lucas, he's got fucking Martin on speed dial. He's like, Martin, come on, man. I need a pay rise. Give me some more money. I need a new computer. Anyway, the people at home, they know what's going on. Type trader in chat. That is TRADEIT. Trade it. Type it if you want I guess it's a raffle ticket to enter your chance in the draw. What's the quiz about today, Prof?
It's all questions we made for I want to say Beamos. I don't know his name anymore.
Wow, you're lumping him in with other players now. I see. Okay.
No, I just have Beamos in my mind because he posted this video as well from a Poland tournament that's happening on a beach that I wanted to bring up later.
A Polish tournament that's happening on a beach, like right now?
Yeah.
Does it help that both Beamos and JL are from Lithuania?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you can take the questions, take the answering. I think it'll be too easy for Striker.
Okay. Oh shit. All right. Let me bring up the quiz.
You're
big
now
pressure
JL.
on chat now.
You're now JL.
Okay. So you think I'm as smart as JL, but definitely stupider than Striker. Let's see how we go here. Question number 1. Who wants to be a Skinionaire? Brought to you by TradeIt.gg. Before Apex reached Paris Major semifinals with me, wow, one of the greatest times in my career, the Lithuanian player that made it furthest at a major was Bemis Esperanto or Kvik. Fuck. I want to say Esperanto because of Crazy, but I don't remember how far Kvik's team went. He was in one of the Ruski teams. Oh, fuck, that doesn't help me either.
Belter fire coming, come on.
I know, but that's ancient history now, man.
First team.
I move stuff out of my brain. Bemis was in, I don't even know how far. The Bemis one I feel is a trap. I think the Bemis one's a trap. It's just, I feel like it's Esperanto, but I don't want to start off on the wrong foot.
Bro, Quantum Bellator Fire.
They made a rule. They made a rule basically against Quantum Bellator.
I've been given the answer. I've been given the answer here, guys. I thought
How
Crazy.
do you not remember it?
Mate, because it's so long ago now. It's like 5 years ago.
This is Elite Major 2018,
I don't remember
right?
things from last year, bro. I push a lot of that shit out of my brain. I try not to hold on to information. I try to live in like the now.
JL is going to help you through chat.
Oh, JL's here. Nice. Okay, good. JL can do this through the chat. Here we go. Question number 2. Come on, JL.
Did he know this? Did he say this?
Yeah, he answered it. He answered it.
Okay.
The biggest CSGO event ever held in Lithuania, Game Show Global Esports Cup Finals, took place in 2014, 2016, or 2018. Come on, JL. You could do this. If he just stops answering, I guess that means, he doesn't know the... Well, he could be, but hey, we didn't put any rules here. He's gone 2016. I'm going to lock in 2016 here. Correct answer is 2016. I'm fucking killing this.
That's the only international tournament I ever casted.
Oh, there's a picture with you and Hugo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Hugo was
Ah.
there.
go with
From
duo.
today's guys, I think that's pretty much it. Nobody else is casting anymore.
Okay, Joe didn't play back then, but he gave us the answer, so he's still got it. Okay, because he's only 23 now. He's only 23, guys. I don't know if you knew that about JL, but he's only 23.
That's pretty
He's a
young.
youngin.
Question number 3. Who is the only Lithuanian player to hold the MVP medal from HLTV, Bemis, Esperanto, or Nuki, who's now a Valorant player? Is he still playing Valorant? That's not the question. JL, you got to get this one right. That's not the question. Esperanto. Insta-lock. Locking it in here.
I like that he's like, no one in the chat is spoiling the questions. Everyone's playing along.
Yeah, it's nice. Okay, he's 3 from 3 right now. Esperanto locked it in. Question number 4. Last week we didn't get 5 from 5. We could change it this week. Wait, it was this week. It was only 3 days ago. According to the HLTV database, how many teams Bemis was a part of? 3, 5, or 7? Because he played for FaZe. He played for Mouse.
Yeah.
He's played for Into the Breach. So it's got to be more than 3. Got to be 5.
I mean,
he's picking 3.
Oh,
He's only gone 3. He's gone the bare minimum. Bemis.
It's definitely not 5. Then he's locking in 3. You go for 3.
Okay, okay, locked in 3.
Is it
Correct
really
answer
just
is
3?
no. Really? That's
I
ridiculous.
mean, he came from FPL, right, into FaZe.
That's true, but like, I guess he hasn't done anything in
He
ages.
didn't
It just
play
feels like
Volsung or anything like that, really?
no weird mixes.
Maybe he played some games, but not.
No,
enough
there
to
are some games
quantify.
like of him and other teams, just not necessarily like being a part of them.
Well, I named all 3. That makes up for the Kvik one I would have got wrong. So I smashed that. I'll be honest. I fucking killed it. That was without even reading JL. All right. What are we on? 4. Question 4. Wait.
5.
Question 5. I can't even count. Question 5. According to esportsearnings.com, who is the Lithuanian CSGO player to earn the most prize money? Bemis, JL, or Nuki? Oh. I don't know this one. Well, he came semi-final at a major. Like,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
semi-final.
could it really be JL?
I think it in modern.
Prof, you're acting like you don't know. Actually, have you?
He's doing a
know
good
the
job.
Questions, actually, because this is all Dimitri. Because I
okay,
also
okay,
had some grammatical errors in the last question. People are already calling me out. Nothing to do with this, except checking it, so I could have
I
fixed
mean,
it.
I would like my first instinct would be Bimas, but
But
Could
Nuki
it really
played for
be JL?
Hellraisers, right?
I mean, Nuki could have. I mean, yeah, and he played for that.
They were okay.
JL
not
said,
no chance, but
JL said it's not me.
All right, well, we're going with Bemis. Looking at Bemis. Correct
it's
answer
gonna
is
be Nuki.
it probably is. Feels like it's bound to be one of those, or it's JL. Well,
It is
Bemis,
from-
thank
it
God.
is,
We got
okay.
through 5 from 5. Skin of our teeth
I
right
mean,
there.
Mouse had some good runs with Bimas, so it doesn't surprise me.
Absolute skin of our teeth right there. Well, JL, thanks for playing along. You couldn't join us this time, but I'm sure you can join us in the future. We got 5 from 5. The winner is PR Lin or Prillin. Capital P, capital R, capital L, little I, big N, underscores, following since 2021. So congratulations, PLN. We're going to reach out to you. That's like KRLN, but PRL in. I don't know, man. We'll reach out to you. We'll get you the
What are you
skin.
trying to do,
Congratulations.
Chad? What
I
the
don't
fuck
know,
are you
man.
trying to do? What the fuck?
I'm not sure anymore.
Nice try though.
I'm really giving it my best.
You're going
It's
for
actually
it.
not a skin anymore. We just give.
What is it
people-
now?
We just give people $50 to trade it, and they can
Oh,
get that.
Oh, they
skin
can
or
pick whatever
something
they
else.
want. Okay.
well, that's even
Cool.
better. We'll give you $50. So it feels even more worthwhile. Trade.gg. Get yourself a $50 voucher. Buy something nice. Treat your mum. Buy her some flowers. I don't know how. Maybe we'll get flowers in the game soon.
Maybe
Imagine
there's a
that.
sticker with flowers.
That's probably possible. All right, that's the quiz. Let's go. Vox Pop, shall we? Because we may as well talk about Navi. Everybody always wants to talk about Navi. Everybody always wants to talk about. It's
Talk
like
about
G2, Prof.
Navi.
It's like
Talk about Navi.
you've got to talk about them. What's
Talk
wrong with
about
Navi? What do you think of Navi? How are Navi doing? What do you think about this? What do you guys think about this, guys? What do you want us to say? It's not
Actually,
going
even-
great.
Even this, we
It's
can
still
pull
pretty
up,
early.
when we pull up the Vox Pop, we can see the votes or the yes no about international teams. But there wasn't even that many interesting replies to it. I have to say, people are just like,
Was it the right decision for Navi to go
Ooh.
international?
yeah,
That's the question.
That's a question. Everybody
Look, I
wants
mean,
to know.
I can tell you a very simple answer. Yes, because they didn't have a pool of players from Ukraine to choose out of.
I heard that like to get players from Bait, it was like way too expensive buyout wise. It wasn't worth it. I don't know how true that is. These are just the things you hear on
I heard
the tournament floor.
other people were interested in Wrinkle, for example, and obviously, you know, when you have Simple on the team,
You don't need
maybe
an
he
AWP.
would have been able to switch if it was Wrinkle coming in, but probably not.
I see like people always suggesting Russian players. I feel like what do we even need to humor that with some kind of response? It's like we understand what's happening, guys.
50-50.
We don't need to talk about that side of things. That's just not happening.
The answer is pretty 50-50, and like the actual replies were not that
Tantalizing.
Yeah, not really. It is what it is. People are just kind of accepting it. I think what we maybe can say is that over the last 12 months, Navi's transfer policy was not the best. Like, I think they kind of got caught up with not acting earlier, and then it kind of came to a position where it was kind of like there's nothing else to do but to blow up and go completely different direction, go international. Because like the SDY signing, when you see the SDY now, like how is it?
Is it the same player, you're asking yourself?
Yeah, like there's obviously more potential than what was extracted from him in Navi. And I think part of it is the pressure, part of it is and like maybe too high expectations, and maybe at the time feeling like, oh, we are Navi, we can get someone better. But realistically they couldn't. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot by, instead of having an okay player, going for bust, which I kind of understand. But it's if you had academy player that had more potential than NPL, maybe, but it's just proved to be the wrong decision, I think, in the long run. And then is it impossible to get someone from Bait? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I feel like if you have more time, then it's more likely to wait out a contract and to figure out a way to get a player, or a Kazakhstani player or someone else that is because at the end of the day, just changing our language of communication is really hard.
Well, they never thought, there's no way they thought Perfecto and Electronic were going to leave.
Was it at the time?
Yeah, I don't think they thought that was going to happen at all. I think that was completely caught them off guard. Yeah. Like even if like even if previously in the team there was points of contention because they were Russian, well, they dropped the flags, right? They did all that stuff that they were required to do at the org. So they're probably thinking there's no way Electronic and Perfecto leave. Like, why would they? They're part of Navi, one of the biggest fucking brands in this space. But for them as well, like with how shit things were, they're probably thinking, well, fuck it, we can get out of here, go play with Shiro and Axel. Like, we can understand looking at how they've made that decision. But Navi going international like this, and with apparently a lot of the money that they threw around, they weren't pulling punches. They wanted to get the players that they could get, and they were happy to pay for them. Is what I heard. So they get the players that they wanted out of the major. They shine on these names. They played good. They performed well in a period of Counter-Strike where there's a lot of good players. We've got the painted brush of another fluke major. Funny how they keep all being fluke majors in a row, right? And so then these players get picked up for a reason. There's obviously saying that Blade sees, and I assume Simple probably gets some say in the type of players that they're looking for here. And then this is what you find yourself with. And look, Imma doesn't look comfortable. I don't think anybody would say that he looks comfortable. He doesn't look comfortable at all. It doesn't look like he's even having fun half the time, which not many of them are because they're not winning. So you don't tend to have a good time when you're not winning. And I think then the questions become, okay, well, should they have gone international? Well, I guess that doesn't matter because they did. Now what do? Do you go more international? Do you go, okay, well, maybe Bit's struggling with the language. Let's get a different player in this position. Do you give these players up until CS2 and then a couple months on top of that, see how the next major goes? Like, what does it look like? I don't know. I was just saying at the top of the show, I've got absolutely no idea what period of Counter-Strike we're in. From event to event, that's all I see. I mean, that's all we can do at the moment.
Yeah, and it's also that like a change like this is not just going to take whatever a month or however long they've been together and playing like to click. Like, we just need some more time to look at how they're going to develop. Like, it is a massive fucking new. I mean, it is an entirely new team if you think about it. Like, we can't think about this as the consistent Navi that we've known for the past few years. That made all the playoffs at majors, that have consistently made playoffs at other events, deep runs. Competed for some titles. Were in that Cologne final that they almost won against FaZe and all that stuff. This is not the same Navi. This is just an entirely new team So people should just reset their expectations for the time being until we can see where this goes, because like realistically, like how are you expecting an entirely new team with a completely new in-game leader? So the two players who were there from before, even if it's with Blade, who has some sort of a vision of how this team should operate, it's still three new players with a new in-game leader who has his own vision, who needs to work in some way that like works in his favor as well, So like all this stuff, that like all these expectations, I understand why they're there just because of the brand name of Navi, but it's just not realistic at this point.
I think that expectation. This is what I struggle with though. What you just said is like, isn't that obvious?
I mean, apparently not.
But that's what I mean. Like, shouldn't it be obvious? Like, what is what is the expectations of Counter-Strike teams? What does it become? I don't understand anymore. Like, it seems so warped from when I would play. Like, if a team comes together, even if it's quality pieces, what is it? I don't think any point in time it's just meant to work. Like, even if we took the 5 best players in the world and threw them together, right? You're not expecting them to play cohesive Counter-Strike immediately. Right. You're going to rip people's heads off. Yeah, they're going to own people's heads.
I mean, considering everything, like they've been pretty competitive, even against teams that are much more stable, So it's just about consistency, and obviously the eye test isn't the greatest at the moment. But considering they're an entirely new team, they're actually like their results are okay. Like they've beaten FaZe, they've beaten G2, they've beaten there was like a couple of Astralis wins or something like that, and it's just like they were competitive against the Heroic 1 series. Like they like were in a position to beat them, So all in all, it's not like they're doing terribly. They're not doing as great as the previous Navi, but for a new team, this is doing pretty okay for a start.
But then this is where I come back to what I was talking about before. What do the goalposts even look like? What is the when you sit down as Navi in this moment, you go, fuck, we need a roster. We have to play. Is that all this is? Like, we need to play until we get to the next catalyst position to make some bigger changes. Like,
I mean, I think this is the first step. I mean, realistically, if you're making a move to international, you're not likely to get it right from the start. Like, you don't know how much your current pieces will adapt to that, in terms of Bit, for example, or even Blade, and Simple, how much they're going to be able to make people from completely different cultures fit, and like all this stuff. Like, I don't think they even like they set some high expectations from the start. The organization, like this team just has to win tournaments. Like, no, I mean, of course they got some of the big players from like the, let's say, in IEM and JL, like who have been talked about a lot in the tier 2 scene, but they didn't get some big names like Nico, like or some of these players that probably would have cost, somewhere in a similar realm of the amount of money, but maybe they didn't want to switch. They didn't get some established players already. They just got like the biggest players that are talked about at the moment.
Yes, yeah, but this is, I don't know, man. I just keep finding myself in this repetitive, like I keep getting reset like a machine that's broken. Like I going through this thought process of, okay, and what should the expectation be? And what are they going to do? And then when is this going to change? And then I always lead back to the same point. But then at the end of the day, these players, they still want to be professional players in CS2. So all you can keep doing right now is keep on keeping on in the path that we're going. But I guess the overall sentiment, and not just for Navi, is the complexion of now that these teams have quite truly decided we all want to be international. We all want to throw our same hat into the same ring, fighting for the same players. All of those orgs who are the top orgs have just driven the prices of all the players up by all now being international. You're all fighting for the same players now. Like, we don't have any...
Maybe I would make the argument that it's just correcting now just because of that. Because since everybody can go everywhere, of course,
so more
they
value
have more options,
for
but
less known players.
Let's say that, yeah.
Okay. That right there is probably a better way. Well, but then why would they spend so much money on some of these pieces now?
You have a much wider pool now, so that means you can just go for players that are not necessarily established and have like some high contracts, but that might be just as good, just because you're not locked by your region, by your country, all that stuff. So technically, this should help contracts, return to more of a norm as well,
But I would hope, like, this is a thing as well. Like, we don't know what all the contracts of all the players are. There's probably a few players who I think should get paid, 40, 50,000 euros a month or whatever it is. There's a couple of them that definitely have the brands, definitely have the pull as an individual. But across the board, that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Simple, obviously, people buy his jerseys probably crazy amounts. I'd be curious to know how much Navi made just off of his jerseys. Like these numbers from people like Ronaldo. Like when they switch teams and stuff like that. Like fucking tens of millions or sometimes even hundreds of millions of in just jersey sales. Like I'm curious what that number is for a player like
Did we discuss the Imperial jersey sales? I know that figure came out
There
at some point.
were a few 100,000, right? So just off of Fallen or
It
something.
was wild, yeah. And like I think if you did, I didn't do the fig. Someone did the figures, right? It was like 830K or something. It was like a big figure that was being spoken about in jersey sales for Imperial. It's a lot of money for jerseys in
doesn't
Counter-Strike.
surprise me. I mean, Brazil has how many? Like 50 million people or more.
Yeah, but that'd be cool, right? If we're talking about players who kind of have that type of a pull.
Okay, I was way off. 200 million people in Brazil. I'd imagine just 1% of them are interested in Counter-Strike.
Well,
That's 2 million people.
I think that like I've kind of gotten off topic from this conversation because Navi's the point is should they have gone international? I guess it sets them up in the future when the game changes to make changes more easily, right, with players and personnel and maybe not have to pay as much. But I don't see why they didn't take bigger risks on names now then. I guess they still wanted to try and win now, but I don't see it happening anytime soon, right? Like where are Navi in the pecking order right now?
Look,
are they even in the top 10 conversation? Are they on the fringe? Like, where are they?
Somewhere around there. I mean, I don't think they're that far off considering some of the teams that they've beaten already. You know, again, beat FaZe, beat G2, who just won Cologne. You know, maybe G2 aren't the most consistent team, but it still counts for something, you know, especially because they're stable as fuck. They've been in the same lineup for almost 2 years. Same with FaZe, you know. Heroic, they almost beat, again, like one of the most stable teams we have. Like some of these, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think people have been a little bit overly harsh on Navi just because of the brand and its history, you know, which is, I mean, to some degree, it's fair, you know, like your fans have gotten used to a certain standard, you know, and as an organization, you want to uphold that standard just so that your fans stay happy, you know, and those fans are like in a way right to feel like, okay, like our team should be winning more, you know, our team should be better, but just, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, especially when you make a move as big as this.
I think this EPL group stage is going to be a good kind of a reset for Navi and what they are, because they have to play some like worse
lower
teams,
tier teams, yeah,
and then a few better teams, and then we can finally see like if they have, you know, if they lose to fucking Cyclone or Apex or M80 or whatever, you know, then
I mean anybody other than FaZe, essentially, like if they lose to maybe Fnatic are like kind of similar level, but I think anybody else if they lose to, that's a problem.
Essentially, yeah, if they lose to anyone except FaZe, then that's not a good look. So we'll see. Hopefully we get a few more than the 3 matches, but it could be, you know, beat Cyclone, beat Apex, and then lose to FaZe, and then they are done, which kind of sucks. But
they're still through anyway, right? Like at that point, yeah.
Then they don't play anymore. So, but
that's sad.
I'd just like to see them play more because so far it hasn't been that much. Like the 2 games in Gamers 8 and something in Cologne. Blast, I can't really take much away from. It's what it is, warm-up tournament, right? So I really don't know, but realistically it is a team that needs a lot of time before we can judge them properly.
But
it's not fun. That's not fun though.
Oh, you want to? They need to judging them now is more fun.
Like there's
that's true. It is.
You can still point fingers, right? Like especially, I mean, you can obviously support it with an argument, you know, like, okay, Ima is not comfortable. Why is that? Is that because the system isn't right? He's not feeling comfortable with the communication, you know, like a player like that, he needs information. Like if he wants to play well in that position, you can't just go into fights 50-50 and hope and you're going to win them, right? Like you will take advantage of information that your teammates are giving you, you know, finding some gaps in the other team's play or things like that, you know, and this is just not the thing that Navi will be good at, you know, a month into becoming international, you know, with 3 of the players never having played in an international lineup, or 2 of the players and coach, let's say.
Yeah. Look, can we leave Navi?
Yep.
Yeah, because I feel we go around in circles here, and we can start talking about EPL in a broader stance. Let's run some ads and we'll be back to talk about EPL in a moment. BRB.
Here's a good vibe, here's a good vibe, here's a good vibe, good vibe.
Best esports odds. VIP program and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO match and tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Do you want to change your boring old skins for awesome new ones fast without losing a lot of value and without the risk of getting scammed? Go to tradeit.gg and safely trade your items within 60 seconds. Just select which items you want to trade from your inventory and choose whatever skin you want from Tradeit's inventory. Click Trade, verify the trade on Steam, and you're good to go. With the biggest inventory available for the lowest trading fees on the market, tradeit.gg is your go-to whenever you want to play with new skins.
All right, we're back from the break. There's a couple ads. I hope you all enjoyed them. This is what you guys need to pay the most attention to around here. They keep the lights on. All right, so keep on watching them. Watch them on loop. Go back in the VOD. Watch them again. Remember, 22 best
make it on
SteelSeries.
YouTube the most viewed part. You know that you have the graph, just the ads.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'll let you guys in on something. The more things that we have where we can do giveaways, where we give you headsets and we give you like $50 vouchers to skins, the more you look at the ads, the more we can get. So like if you don't tell, if you guys don't tell that anybody this, we keep it our little secret and we can get you guys more free things. All right. You like free things?
You should also like email sales at SteelSeries.
So they're doing such a good job.
And be like, oh my God, I bought all of this stuff because of Chad and Striker and Prof. They wear it all the time. They're so good.
Even if that's not true, that's what you still need to do. Okay. You do all that and everyone gets more free stuff. We like free stuff. All right. Speaking of free stuff, Pro League. It's not free, but it's stuff.
Almost free.
There's
Because
stuff.
how
There's
many shitty teams there are there?
5 weeks of, well, now let's reframe this, shall we? Because Prof's version, right? He wants you to have a narrow view on professional Counter-Strike, guys. I want you to have a broad view on professional Counter-Strike, all right?
You're looking for the diamonds in the rough,
You guys,
the gold in the mud.
Exactly. These are the players of the future.
Orcs.
These are the players and teams, you know, who are out here with the hard graft, not earning the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. These are the guys who are doing it for the love. They're in the deathmatch with you. They're in the face at premium queues with you. They're there. They're grinding. Okay. And that they're flying across the world. So let's start in reverse order here, Mr. Lucas. I'm going to whack you a little bit of a link here. We're just going to start with Group D and we'll work our way back to Group A where we'll talk in length. But for those of you playing at home, 32 bloody teams. Yeah, you heard me right.
Wow.
5 weeks of Counter-Strike. Best of threes every single series. And too many chances. Too many chances. One too many. Just one too many. We should only have 2, but we gave them 3. Like a genie, you get 3 wishes, apparently, at Pro League and Blast groups, which is crazy. We're giving out too many wishes.
Please let me win this game.
Yeah, this is... We'll start with Group D.
Just
Lucas,
to say, overall,
backwards. Yep.
number 1 to number 22, according to the HLTV rankings, are in attendance.
Number 1 to what?
22.
Number 22. Wow.
Holy moly, red beans and ravioli. That itself, let's read those out in descending order. Or would it be? Yeah, no, descending order.
That is descending, yes.
9Z, Furia, Complexity, 9, Imperial, Fnatic, Apex, Monty, Liquid, Virtus Pro, NIP, Mouse, Navi, Cloud9, GamerLegion, Astralis, FaZe, G2, ENCE, Heroic, and Vitality. That is
actually
from,
ascending order, but okay.
but
you're going from the lower number to a
we're going down.
Ladder,
we're going down in the numbers.
But you're going from a lower end of the ladder. If you look at the ranking, you're going up.
Well, it doesn't matter. I was doing it with the numbers.
Argue about ascending versus descending order.
But then we got a bunch more teams. We got Big, Greyhound, Eternal Fire, Evil Geniuses. Let's be nice to Evil Geniuses this season, everybody, please. MIBR, Movistar Riders.
Did you get a directive from ESL about that?
No, that's a directive from me. It's a different team. You can still be mean to the org. Just be nice to the players. Orcs, M80, Cyclone or 5 Clone, Lin Vision, and Rooster. There you go. And the only name that you all need to learn how to pronounce starting now is Sasanito.
What about Westmelon?
Well, Westmelon's easy. I love the Chinese names. You can never fuck them up. They make the names impossible to ruin. Starry.
What about what about this guy? Emilia QAQ?
Yeah, that'd just be Amelia.
What is going on here?
I don't know. It's an easy name. They didn't make it difficult for me.
QAQ's gotta be like a smiley face, right? Or something like that.
Probably the A's nose or whatever. Yeah, a little cute. Oh, it could be the mouth. Little cute little like beak something. Mouth. I can see it. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about these groups. Group D, Cloud9, Eternal Fire, Complexity 9, Liquid VP, G2, and LinVision. I want to weigh these groups up, guys. Let's talk about these. Let me read them all out, and then you guys can tell me who you think is the strongest. Group C, FaZe, 9Z, Imperial, Fnatic, Apex, M80, NAVI, and Cyclone. Group B, Ent, Evil Geniuses, MIBR, Mouse, Monty, Big, Rooster, and Heroic. And Group A, Vitality, GamerLegion, Greyhound, Movistar Riders, FURIA, NIP, Astralis, and Orcs. So of those groups, we're going to dive into Group A the most, but which one would you guys say is the hardest to secure the required amount of teams?
I would say C. No, C, D. For sure.
Okay.
Cloud9, Complexity 9, Liquid, Virtus Pro, and G2 are all teams that could make it. Like 6 out of 8 teams could make it through.
Okay.
Yep, I agree
like
with
that. Well, what would be the next closest?
I mean, maybe B, Heroic, Big, Mouse, Ants, and then let's say Monty, like also pretty even.
It's between A and B, I would say. A is also Vitality, Astralis, NIP, FURIA.
And then GamerLegion, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, Greyhound, even though they're not like in with a crack, it's not Rooster, for example, who are like essentially starting from zero, whereas Greyhound should at least have the betting to be able to try and not be garbage.
Yeah, I would say D, A, B, C.
D, A, B, C. So C is the weakest group, you think?
I think I agree with that, actually, yeah.
Okay. Is that
like FaZe is the best team and they're not even in good form?
Okay.
Navi also not in the best form.
Yeah, so these are the 2 best teams. Then from the rest, like Fnatic and Apex, I would say similar, like top 15, 20 in the world. And then M80, Cyclone, Imperial, and 9Z, like no expectations. Like 4 of these teams are 0 expectations.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But so for some, this is where we have to set different benchmarks, right? Because if we look at it from the perspective that Prof, you started this with, there's a bunch of trash teams here. In terms of World Counter-Strike, as you mentioned.
I'm kind of joking, just to be clear. But
well, being those 1 to 22 is good, but there are teams here which are going to bring us games that people aren't interested in. That's not a doubt.
Yeah.
We are going to get matchups that people are not going to be interested in. And that tends to be what happens here. But I suppose, at least from my perspective, what we're looking for is for some of these names, like Eternal Fire, I just feel like they're constantly treading water. This team doesn't feel like they move. They don't go up, they don't go down, they don't go anywhere. They're just there, right? Same players, just mixed around. They put the keys in the bowl. They see who's going home with who at the end of every fucking roster change, apparently.
But like most of these teams that we talk about that are between like 22 and like 35 will at least, I would say 50% of them will make at least one upset.
But that's like only Big, Greyhound, or Eternal Fire.
Eternal Fire could do stuff. I mean, M80 could maybe pick up an upset. I would say EG could win some. Movistar Riders could win. Like, I feel like most teams could do something, but is it realistic for them to qualify? Probably not. And in this like triple elimination thing, they're probably not going to make it through. Like 1 or 2 upset teams maybe will, like as the 4th team. But other than that, it's not really like, with the quality of the top 20 teams that we have, if it was more congested, it would be a lot more interesting. Okay. It's kind of watered down, with some of these teams.
Well, let me inquire, because when we changed from, we never got to the point where the conference was done on LAN before the group stage. Yeah, but, and this is. I agree that felt like the proper way to do it, where these teams that are like from 25, 30 to like 50, like 16 of them play, and then the best goes through. Yes. And then those games are more interesting because they're against each other and it's more balanced. And then if they prove that they're good enough, then they play against some of the bigger teams. I like that concept, I like that idea, but it didn't come to fruition. Yeah, I really dislike what it turned into. And I imagine that this format will have to change next year or in the coming years with the whole Valve situation anyway. Like I said, we don't have all the information regarding on what Valve are going to require of TOs, so we can't even start to postulate on what we think it might look like.
I mean, to be fair, like let's just consider, the top 16 get invited by ranking. I mean, we have the top 16 by ranking there. Yes. And then, rest comes from like regional or open qualifiers, then like it could literally be the same thing. I don't think the partnership structure necessarily changes so much of that.
Yeah, and that's something right there, Striker, that I will never say. So thank you for saying it.
Because you will be called an ESL shill.
I'll be called an ESL shill. So you don't want to state things that are factually true.
No, I mean, obviously, some of these teams maybe have overstayed their welcome in the ranking that they're in. That's of course possible. So somewhere down the line, it would make some difference. But like right now, if we had those rules at this point, this tournament would probably not really get affected so much because a bunch of these teams already did come from open qualifiers. Especially on the lower end. And the top end, they're all the top teams,
That's what gets provided by this circuit, right? Is a lot more national champ or the feed-in for these things, like the national championships, the ESL Challenger League.
So basically,
that type of
like
stuff.
what we want the ESL Pro League to turn into is the new national championship.
Yeah, no, like we have the invites, we just have everybody else come here, right? Like what? But what I wanted is just for it to be. So Rops wants to go back to online stuff, right? He wants to go back to Pro League Online. That's what he said.
Okay,
to me.
this is now we're cooking.
I didn't investigate because I was scared of some of the reasons that I might hear. So I think in a world where we are going back to the world we're going to find ourselves in come 2025, I think is more akin to pre-COVID time than during COVID or just like this what we exist in now, right? Where it's such a narrow focus of top tier Counter-Strike. It's such a narrow focus on the upper echelon events. And that's because, well, there's only a few tiers running upper echelon events and there's so much hype and excitement around these bigger names and brands. I think that'll slowly start to peter out a little bit. People are still going to be excited when a Nico's in the server. People are still going to want to watch a NAVI and a Simple. But I think there'll be a lot more events. And I saw someone, we were talking about the CAC stuff at the start of this. It's like, but what about the time zones? Guys, what do you mean, what about the time zones? We live on a world. The world has a lot of different... We live on a world. It's kind of crazy. This is insane. This is fucking nuts, right? And this world, it's huge. And like billions of people live on it. And in different parts of this world...
and most of them live in the bad time zone.
Yes, well, that's true. A lot of them do live in the bad time zone. And a lot of people do play Counter-Strike who live in the bad time zone. So there will be events that will not fit with your day-to-day schedule so that you can view your favorite Counter-Strike matches at 7 o'clock at night. So like and I see the world as well in come 2025. And what I'm saying is more akin to pre-COVID is where we had a lot more TOs and they would not give a fuck. PGL would go, you know what? I'm putting my event on this weekend. And ESL would go, well, I've got an event that weekend. And you go, well, I guess we both have events this weekend. Let's see who can get the better teams. And that's what we did.
Do you think this will actually be allowed by Valve? Considering
overlapping tournaments,
what I'm considering, because especially if you think about like what the rules they put in place, like you have to invite by ranking, like obvious. It seems like it's going to be difficult if there's two events in the same area, and then you have to invite by ranking. One of them will probably have to win, right, between those two events. There's going to have to be some lead up to that tournament for those teams to be able to confirm their attendance, right?
But don't you think it would be determining factors? Like we could list them now. What we as people who aren't...
What do you mean?
Okay, so let me put it just from a journalistic perspective. You get a chance to go to one of these two events. One of them, you get to stay in a better hotel. I don't know if that HLTV pays for it or not. HLTV pay for your hotels, I'm sure, right? Yeah. Okay, well, ignore the hotel. You have one event that has internet and tables, and the other event doesn't have power. Which one are you going to?
That you're really going back to 2016.
You know what's the real answer about this? We could do both.
Oh, okay. There you go. So, but the teams can't. So fair enough.
I can send a junior to the event that has no power.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. It's a bad example that I give.
He's gonna bring his typewriter and mail the article every day.
But this is where like a Blast in the ESL will have an advantage over other TOs that these orgs don't have relationships with, because I don't think Valve are going to put anything in there that says you have to have this level of computer or you have to have this many talent player managers on hand, for example. Like the level of the way things have been treated, especially for some of these teams in partner stuff, is because of their status as a partner team. I'm not saying they're getting treated better, but they've been able to push up conditions that's helped everybody. Right? Yeah. It's like, well, we want this.
So essentially, what you're saying is like people, if there's like maybe not a PGL, but if some new TO comes and is clashing with ESL, people are just going to go with ESL because they know what ESL is and what they're going to provide, and the other TO, they're not really sure.
Well, it's like with Hussar Cup, right? Hussar Cup news came out, and then I had a couple of players message me, and they were like, "Yo, do you know anything about these guys?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't know who's behind it. Like, I can ask some questions." but I don't know the people behind it. Like I couldn't tell you if it's going to be good, bad. I don't know what their expectations are.
Look, there's got to be more to the rules that Valve are coming up with, though.
Oh, definitely. But do you how restrictive will that be?
I mean, that's the question, right? Like, but in some way, they will probably have to step in a way where, like, ESL can't just put an event on every weekend just to be able to push everybody else out, right? Like, that's something that Valve have consistently fought against.
You think it'll be limiting days?
I don't know about limiting. Look, I don't know exactly, but I'm just saying that from my knowledge about what Valve have done in the past, and in terms of, like, making sure that ESL aren't the only one in the space, and you can be sure that ESL will try to do this to push everybody else out by just like sheer volume of tournaments. If that's where we'll go, Valve will have to do something about that. Like, they just have consistently done something about that. So I don't think that this is it's going to be as simple as just going back to 2016, whatever, from 2016 on, where like anybody could put events anywhere they wanted.
Okay. Can you explain to me why you think that would be the case, right? Like if Valve put checks and balances, let's say there's only one TO. Let's live in a world where there's just one TO, but the checks and balances
don't want that.
How do you know that?
They've consistently given majors to anybody that's not ESL just because to give somebody else a piece of the pie. Same with the RMRs. Like, they've always given people outside of ESL, outside of Rio, basically is the only major that they've given ESL in some time, right? Since Katowice. That's
okay.
I'm not crazy, right?
Let's live in this world, right? Let's live in the world where only one TO runs events that aren't majors by choice because nobody else wants to. Let's say nobody else wants to run events that aren't majors.
But that's the point, like, is that something the Valve want? I don't think so.
No, but wouldn't you as Valve? This is the way I look at it. If I was Valve and I can't control if TOs come or not, I can encourage it. Right, I can try and put checks and balances in place to make sure that they are incentivized one way or another to try and do these things.
But that's what I think will happen. Yeah.
So you think they'll put incentives in place for people to run TOs to run events that aren't majors?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm not sure about incentives necessarily, but I think they will just make it possible in some way for it not to be just ESL and be able to push everybody else out.
Shouldn't I think what Striker is trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, is essentially ESL has the means to just be like at the beginning of the year, oh, we're doing week 3, week 4, week 7, week 9, and then just like take out of the next 6 months, take like 70% of the weeks, because like they are the big, and then no one can take that because they are the big, and then Blast is going to take theirs, PGL is going to take something that's left over, and then there's going to be like, this is done. Like, it doesn't make sense that if they are going to enforce some kind of rules of like, this is how you have to do a tournament to make a tournament, that they're also not doing, okay, these are the next 6 months.
You think Valve are going to control the calendar for 6 months?
That's the only thing that makes sense, because
I don't see that in any world.
I don't think it's going to be full control. I just think there's going to be something in place to prevent, overlapping.
But what could you put in place to prevent it? How can you, and at what level do you draw that line? Like, this is the thing. This is the reason I'm having a hard time being able to swallow what you're saying is, and we've got fucking knobheads like Ivan the Truth here who think this is because I want ESL to succeed and own it all. It's like, no, it's, if you look at this from the Valve perspective, right? You just want to make sure that it's open to all the players. That's all you want. You just want all the events to be open to the best players. That's what you're looking for, right?
Sure.
So the only disqualifying factor is your event partnered? Is it constricting players from being able to qualify? That is the only question. Why would Valve give a fuck who runs it? They just need somebody to run it. And it needs to be open to their whole player base.
Yeah, but preferably they would want more tournament organizers to be able to run them,
but you can't control that, right?
Look,
you can, as I said, you can incentivize it.
I'm not saying I have like some perfect solution. I just think knowing Valve and how they've treated ESL in the past, and like how they've made sure that they don't do this, because trust me, if ESL could, they would do it in a way where they would just push everybody out. Obviously it takes some money and all that stuff. But if ESL could do it, for 2 years, they would just like for 1 year, they would just put so much money on the line and like for all their events that like people literally cannot say no. Like it's ESL, it's the best like ran tournaments consistently. It's the money, like let's say they would just cover the entire year with tournaments that, the top teams just cannot say no to. Do you think ESL would be okay? Do you think Valve would actually allow that?
Oh, I don't know.
I can tell you no, they won't.
But I also think like, see, your perspective of what you think ESL would do and my perspective of what I think ESL would do are completely different. Like there are probably groups of people who work in ESL who would probably want what you said, but there are other groups within ESL who definitely don't want what you want, right? For example, like
I didn't tell you the ownership. I'm sure the ownership wants that.
oh yeah, okay, well there you go.
And that's
different.
that's who makes the call. I'm sorry
But
to tell you.
they could have that, right? Like if they wanted to try and make those things happen, couldn't they just buy everybody? Couldn't they just buy Blast?
I mean,
Couldn't they just buy?
obviously that's a lot more money than
that's-
just trying to push the competition out, right?
That is
But
also
it's the
what's
same
already
thing.
happened, right? That happened already like 3 times.
Well, so when it was owned by
ESL bought
MTG, they had
SEA,
Dream.
And then they
yes.
bought DreamHack, and
Yes.
then they
Now they're
bought Face
basically
It.
bought
Face
Face It,
It.
yeah.
Yeah. They're both
So,
owned by the PIF.
They also bought the esports engine thing, which is not CS, but it could have been at some point. So it's kind of that's how.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, when are they buying
Always
Blast?
someone new comes up, right? Why does someone new come up? Like the way Valve does stuff does help. Like PGL is in CS all the time because they get Valve
Majors.
stuff, right? And that's why they're still around. So, or if they are not doing it, then WePlay came in when the COVID thing was going on and the RMRs. Then they are doing stuff like that. So there's always incentive from Valve to have other offspring children of TOs.
Well, I've maintained this stance throughout, and I still think the stance is the same. I don't think, right, that anything from a TO or Valve or anything like this should be restrictive because of like a group of the subsect of the elite level professional players say we don't want to play this event. I don't think anything should be chopped or changed or restricted or anything like that. I think everything should be available. The one thing that we've never exercised properly, and now it's harder for these players to exercise than ever before, is their ability of choice, because now they're in orgs that will tell them what they have to do and when they have to be there and do this social media and do these content days, and you have to go to this event, you can't skip this event, we need to be here because of the fans. That autonomy is completely out of their hands now. They've lost that. Back when we were talking about it a couple of years ago, they still had a little bit of it. They still somewhat were driving their own ships. Now they've all lost that. And now if we go back into a period of time that is like pre-COVID, these players are going to have an issue where they're going to want to say no, but their orgs aren't going to let them say no. And what's going to come at the cost of that? Your salaries. They're going to go down because they're going to say, well, you're not attending as many events. And there will be
or they're just going to be attending even more events that they are attending now.
And we'll go back to the conversation of being burnt out all the time. And we come back to this same fucking
and then
cycle.
we're going to have a major at the end of the year and everyone's going to be burnt out. Let's go. And this is, if I might just like go back around, and this is my pet peeve of the week or the month or whatever.
Here we go. Bring it up.
Like cyclic nature of discussions and issues. It's like, we need this. Then we get this. It's like, oh, but actually you want this. And then we go get this. And it's like, actually, we actually wanted that thing at the beginning.
That,
and it's
that we said we didn't want.
over and over again. And of course, like in this process, we are like maybe nudging a bit towards the middle, but I don't feel like we were actually doing that. We're always going from like one end to another end and being like, this sucks. And this is the example of like, we actually want Pro League to be online, but who asked for it to be on LAN? Who was it? Who wanted it to be on LAN? Because online doesn't matter. It is the players. The players wanted it on LAN, and now they don't want it on LAN anymore. It's like, it's hilarious. And it's also like, there's also a tweet.
I don't know. If I was a player, I'd love this situation.
You made this tweet as well. You made this tweet. You're like, analyst desks are more fun when they're loose. It's like, okay, you can still have this position. This is fine. It can be more fun. But who asked for more shit on the analyst desks? It's the analysts, because they had nothing. They had nothing. And then you go to Gamers 8 and they have nothing. They have like 2 graphics there. And it's
so suddenly the most fun.
It's fun because it's different. It's not fun because it's better. Maybe it is better. But then why were you asking for it? It's like, it's the same shit all over again. And it's the same shit with like the majors at the end of the year, at the end of the season, also asked by players. Players didn't want it. It got moved to the start. Then it moved to the middle. And now it's moved back to the end. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
But
it's
I think it highlights one key factor of what we're doing, right? Is that it is always going to be changing, right? And we are going to rehash the same conversations all the time.
The problem is also that like, if we only change this one factor and everything else stays the same, then we can actually move somewhere. But the problem is that we change this one thing, but also everything around it at the same time. There's no way of finding the best way because everything is so fucking chaotic all the time. It's just like if you want to do something with your health or like whatever, you're going to be like, I'm going to add this vitamin to my, and then see how things work. But the problem is that you're not going to sleep the same because you're a fucking chaotic being. And then you're going to work out, but then you're not going to work out. Then you go out in the sun. Then you're going to have like a stressful period. Then you're going to sleep like shit. Then you're going to eat stuff. Like so many things change. So do these vitamins help or not? The fuck I know. There's no way to confirm this. So we're kind of stuck in this fucking. It's kind of like a rat test, but with no results.
Yeah, we're doing it without like anything to mark it against. There's a term for this in science. There's definitely a term for this. You're doing an experiment.
Blind.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the Alpha Brain Joe Rogan pills, right? You know, the placebo for all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But no, what you're saying is bang on. And this is the thing. It is easy. It's much easier for us to sit here and talk about solutions to problems than try and outline where the core issue of a lot of these problems come with. That's why for the players, you know, with too many events, I return to choice, right? Being able to turn down events. That for me is like that right there is everybody else can put on their parties. You know, there could be 5 parties on a Friday night you want to go to. You've only got time to go to one of them. You got to pick which fucking party you want to go to. You can't go to all of them.
Yeah, or you can skip through them, and that doesn't really. Your analogy is good, but I wanted to say the difference is that now compared to like 3-4 years ago is exactly what you were saying earlier, that the contracts and the player power is much lower. But also a reason why the players gave up some of the power is because of the partner leagues. So people were like, we're going to play the partner leagues, and maybe here and there we're going to play something else, and that's going to be like how we're going to build our year. But those contracts are not going to be. This is a question. This is a question maybe for some agents and stuff like that. Maybe if someone's watching can let me know. Like, how is this going to change in the future? Are people going to go and is this considered a different state in which we are fair to renegotiate these things and see like, oh, maybe we need to put down a number of tournaments that are going to play? Because honestly, like everyone is in the end looking for their bottom line, and for an org, playing more tournaments is better.
Yes.
And if there's more tournaments, I just don't see why they wouldn't play more tournaments.
Yeah, they're going. That choice is going to be taken from them, and they're going to find themselves in that cycle again. So we're going to have to wait and see how that works out. But guess what? Guess what, everybody? If you're playing Pro League and you're in weeks 3 or 4, and you're in an upper echelon team, and you were just at fucking Riyadh for Gamers 8, guess what? You probably get like a week off. You probably don't have to do anything for a whole week if you didn't want to. And you know how I know that? Because I know that. I know some of the teams who aren't playing until weeks 3 or 4 are taking some time off right now. They're taking some time off. They just finished Gamers 8. They're having, a week, 10 days to themselves, and then they're going to get back into practice.
Some teams are going to maybe playing week 1, and they're going to have a week off after that to have some vacation.
Yeah, because then after that, they're going to have a minimum of 3 weeks until the playoffs if they make it. The way it is right now, the way it is here, because it is, instead of it being online, which means you'd be playing Counter-Strike every second day for the better part of a month still, because we'd have to do a round robin with all of you. You're getting more breaks now. You're getting to focus and recharge your energy, get ready for the event in your portions. You get practice time. It's just not everybody plays at the same time. What would we prefer? I don't know. Do we even think that an event like this has any place? Probably not. Should we just keep everything to 1 to 2 week events? If we want a league, do we need to go online? If we want a league, do we need to set aside a month in the calendar? What are we talking about here? Right? What are all the things that we're looking for? Right? Because there are a lot of we also have the conversation of like all tournament formats. Do they all need to be the same? No. Okay. Well, if we want, this is the thing. We're still working out what works on all facets. What's entertaining? What can we bring people? This one here, it gives lower teams an opportunity to compete and go on the big stage, I guess, on a big event. But other than that, we get a few diamonds in the rough. That's about it. That's what comes out of this event. And then we have our normal teams in the playoffs. It's a different vibe of the broadcast, I can tell you that much. So we're changing that. We're doing stuff, Prof. We're changing things. We're trying new things. Yeah.
So you're gonna have a free flowing analyst desk, or is it gonna be a structured analyst with a lot of features and segments and stuff?
I would imagine the features will be very limited. I imagine features will be a limited facet of the show. Fun and games. That should be fun and games. Should we talk about Group A?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Cyclical conversations. Group A of Pro League. We've been doing this for 18 seasons now. I wonder what Group A looked like in season 1. There was 4
teams.
Well, wasn't as exciting. There was.
At
We got
least
8 teams now.
I mean, it depends on what you call Group A, because at the time it was just the online thing into finals, rather than like straight into like a whole tournament.
Yeah. Well,
come
come on, man. It's fucking Saturday. People out there in the motorbikes and stuff having a great
Can't
time.
believe all of these small penis people.
These
Just
bloody hooligans.
crazy.
It's fucking nuts out there. Okay, so our opening matches in the upper side of the bracket, Vitality, Orcs, Astralis, NIP. I guess we could start here. This is the juicier side of the bracket without even a conversation. I think Astralis, unfortunately, they lost yesterday to Sirius's team, 0-0 Nation. That was also something crazy that happened that we didn't talk about. Like how the Brazilian 0-0 Nation just got jacked by this international team with Bird from Sky, Nico, Sirius.
Well, technically, it's more like the companies kind of splitting into 2 parts, and like the Brazilian part of the 0-0 Nation is just going to split off into its own organization, and now it's like 0-0 Nation, which is the Norwegian organization, is becoming this international team. So it's not like they kicked them out. It's more like the company is kind of being split into 2 parts.
Well, I like that distinction. It makes them feel like a whole bunch of better lads over there. All right. That's good, Striker. Thanks for the fact check.
Honestly, like the 0-0 Nation, what were they called before? They were called something before.
Nordvind? No, is that Nordvind? Am I
yeah,
crazy?
they were.
Bro,
but didn't Nordvind get something to do with Apex at some point?
No, they're just Norwegian.
Because Pimp was a part of this thing.
Yeah,
wasn't
I think
he?
he still is to some degree or something, or was until recently. But they were, I feel like they're pretty unlucky. Like they did some decent signing, but the results were always dog shit. Like they did fuck all. Like even when they had their best, when they signed like the whole like Taco team, which is pretty good, and merged it with like Colzera and fucking Try. Like this was supposed to be decent. It was not. They didn't qualify for anything. It's just sad. So I hope they have some more success, because I just feel bad for the org for putting in so much money and getting nothing out of it.
Yeah, well, that's esports, right? Yeah, that's easy. You put so much money in.
I think it's like usually they put in a lot of money and then maybe they have some decent results, but like monetarily they don't get much back. But these guys didn't have anything. I don't think they really got anything.
No, that's fair.
It's funny that the Astralis also came back from 2-13 on Overpass and played like 4 or 5 overtimes on Overpass in that game and won it, only to lose the series anyway.
Well, that game was wild. I was like, Sirius was bodying them, and I was like, how is this still going? I remember tuned in like multiple different points, and I was just flabbergasted each and every time that the game was still going. I thought it was definitely.
I didn't watch the whole thing,
2-0.
but I was just like, yeah, 13-2. I just remember like looking at this. It was like, yeah, 13-2. Just like, okay.
It's an interesting roster.
I guess it's over, and then I was just like looking, okay, it's coming. Yeah.
It's got interesting like mixtures of experience and not. Obviously, Bird from Sky, Nico, Sirius and JDC, and then Susp is like the Swedish bloke. Interesting mix of players. That's about all I can really put on it. But Sirius and beasting online, man. You'd love to see it. You were back in the COVID era. Sirius and just destroying. But they're not playing in Pro League, so maybe we should focus on teams who are. Okay, Astralis versus NIP, always a fun one. We know the history, a bit of an overlap there between the orgs, some of the players. So some excitement as far as that head-to-head goes. Also, slight remnants of Swedes versus Danes. Everybody enjoys a little bit of that up in the Nords. Orcs, this is the team with, well, it's a bunch of Polish players and HS. People might remember HS, the Estonian. He has some baller tattoos. He played for Optic once upon a time.
He also drives a motorbike. I think he had an accident at some point, and then he came back.
That's not good. Okay. Is this Orcs team a real team?
I have no idea.
They're looking for an org, so I guess that makes them a real team. And I mean, they've been playing together in like a similar. Wait, let me see.
Couldn't have been that long. Like Olymp and SNX were from Permitter, right?
Yeah.
They were at Katowice at the start of the year. Veggie played for VP a long time ago.
They were called something else just before this, and I forgot. Oh, maybe it was something else. Never mind.
No, that's all right. Well,
I think I'm mixing 2 teams together now.
Okay, I'll just, because like this is the thing. These teams can qualify in a bunch of different ways, right? To these events. So for Orcs, I would imagine with the Polish flag that they probably qualified through some Polish national championship or something. Let me have a look here. NCEU qualifier. So through the EUs, not through the Polish side of things. And they got Tensky as a coach. I haven't seen the name Tensky in a while. Okay, Tensky giving it a crack as a coach. Interesting. Okay, well, you guys should all be familiar with him. Yeah, there's not enough players there that really leap off the page to get hugely excited about that roster, to be honest. So they get a crack at Vitality, who are on a bit of a high at the. So that should be a pretty straightforward set up there. Astralis versus NIP. FURIA versus Movistar. FURIA kind of need to just win everything, don't they? Like on that side of the bracket, they need to just beat everybody.
But I could see them lose to Movistar.
They had a good win online just yesterday or the day before, I thought it was. I didn't expect them to be. Who were they versing?
Pinnacle Cup, no? It was Monty.
Oh, they beat Monty. That's right. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's not that Monty without Boros is we're still learning what Bro has to offer within this team. But for FURIA to get that victory, just returning to Malta from Gamers 8, I was a little bit, I don't know how I was jet lagged. Somehow I was jet lagged in a 1 hour time difference. Maybe it was just a crazy travel day. To see them, it was a 3-mapper. That's a good win for them as part of this rebuilding phase, I would say.
And before that, they beat Espionage, who is apparently a number 17 team in the world, according to Valve.
What?
It's the
number what?
Number 17 team in the world, according to the Valve ranking.
Espionage is the one with the fingers? Do they have the fingers?
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
And it's like making the eye. Is it making the eyes? Is that what it's doing?
I guess that's what it is, yeah.
I guess that's like they're spying.
Yeah, because I was trying to work out what that was, but now that I tried to do it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I see that now. I see the logo. Okay, 17th in the world. Yikes. Well, we know that needs a little bit of updating, doesn't it? Just a little bit of
but
updating.
to be fair, that's like the only one in Europe that it's really like weird. Everything else in Europe is okay because of the sample size, or at least pretty much.
All right. Well, it's just the smaller regions that are having trouble, right? I saw you talking about that. I saw Graham also limping into the Americas, and he even linked when they won their games to qualify for Sydney that they had to beat like 3 teams that were ranked higher than them or some shit, which is kind of funny. Okay, what else are we looking at in this group here? Anything else leaving off the page? I think in this group here, Vitality Astralis are the only 2 locks I have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm even curious about if Astralis are going to be competitive in that. If they beat NIP, it's kind of like, it's not 100% obviously, but I would say that
NIP looked really rough online, but they had good comebacks. Like their games looked like they were done. In the last few NIP games that I watched, I was like, well, this is fucking over. And then they had these really nice comebacks. Overpass was one of them. And I think Brolin made a tweet about buying an org or something. I don't remember. I feel like I've been watching a lot of Counter-Strike these last few days. It was the game against One Win. What was the score in that match? They were down 15-9 and they ended up winning that match 28-24, third map against Jesus One Win. Christ. Yeah, it was a biff. They had to turn that. And then there was another game though, I think maybe in the OG game, another one I turned off, and then somebody told me, they said, like, oh, they fucking won that map. I couldn't believe it. So there was a couple that NIP have had to come back in the last couple of days.
Young Head Trick is performing, so that's nice. I honestly think Astralis definitely favorites, but I wouldn't write it off. I can't really be super confident in Astralis in their part of the bracket just because it's NIP into Vitality.
Sure.
Like, I don't see them winning both of these games. Like, I don't really.
They could, but they definitely also could not. Yeah.
I mean, they could lose to NIP, or they could beat NIP and then beat Vitality too, just because, Vitality maybe start off slow or whatever.
I definitely see them going through all of the other teams, like FURIA, Movistar, Greyhound, GamerLegion. I think that's not going to be a problem overall.
Yeah, well, GamerLegion have impressed me because the bar I had was like, oh, this team aren't going to do a lot. But I think they've actually put up decent resistance against a lot of names that I thought should walk all over them. Like,
I mean, they played Cloud9 in Cologne and then Heroic in Riyadh, right?
Yeah, and they even took a map of Heroic.
Yeah.
Which, like, I know Heroic are having some issues at the moment, but that's fucking wild. Like, they 2-0'd Apex.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, between them and, like, I was making this comparison, between them and Apex, like, they were both kind of in a similar place just before the major, right? Or just during the major. But then since then, GamerLegion is the one who made the more impactful changes, and probably the changes for the worse. If you look at it on paper, just because they lost Chewy and they lost him and they had to bring in Nealon and Volt, right? So, like, just 2 key pieces for 2 players that maybe necessarily weren't even so much on the radar, but they're actually being the better team over Apex, who basically just switched their anchor or like lurker from JL to Tatanito, who was already kind of talked about as like the next big thing that might come up from the tier 2 scene, But Apex is now the worst team pretty clearly, and they even lost the last 2 matches against each other. So it's just curious that the GamerLegion have been able to stay competitive despite getting poached over their 2. I would argue their 2 most important players.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't come from, at least in the games I've watched, it doesn't feel like it's come from just one player. Like, sometimes Isaac's having a much better
Yeah.
performance than I would expect, or sometimes Volt is having a good game. But then on the flip side of that, they could equally be having another map where they are botting out, right? Like they're just not having any contributions. But I don't know, like when I looked at Isaac and the old roster, he was doing a lot of supportive stuff to set up IMA or whatever, right? Like he was playing these positions and he was doing a lot for the team. So seeing him in this team being able to deliver more numbers, I think that's good. He's actually, now this is the problem, and they are playing more quality opponents, I would say, but he's the highest rated player for them. And then it's Acor, and then everybody else is dropping off a bit of a cliff, right? So the thing is, somebody needs to make the mark in this team as the star rifler, right? Nealon can probably do a pretty decent job as an in-game leader, right? Is he going to be able to contribute as much as a Shui? Well, I don't know. The different in-game leaders, we're going to be unable to measure that. But it was Isaac and Keo's supportive before, with Shui as a pretty active in-game leader, Ima beasting on the rifle and Acor on the AWP. Well, they need to you don't need to have the same complexion because the roster might function differently, but you still need players to step up and be counted for in delivering in those roles, right? So I'm interested with the GamerLegion development. I think that it's good for Nealon to get himself a crack on an international team after being on the American team. Whose fucking car alarm's going off?
I don't know. Is it you? Is it you or no?
Yours.
It's not.
It is outside my house. Hold on 1 second. Let me close the window.
I can barely hear it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we're taking Vitality, Astralis, and then what are the two teams to go through? What do you think?
All right, fixed it, solved it.
Okay.
I can still hear it, but
I would
the window's
say-
closed now.
I mean, I would say that NIP should still be the third one. I think there's a good chance that they won't be, but I still think I would make a better case for them than anybody outside of them.
Even FURIA?
I would, yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, FURIA
just
should be the
not-
fourth
I-
then, bro. FURIA has to be the fourth team.
I mean,
if they
are you
don't,
sure?
bro.
Like
That is
between
like,
them
what
and
is this-
GamerLegion, is that obvious? I don't think so.
But this
I
would be
think-
really condemning for FURIA.
Yeah, it would, but that's how they look.
I think this is kind of like a wishful thinking Cloud9-esque situation where like surely
Don't
it's
do me like
Furia.
that, Prof.
Surely
Look, they should
it's-
be. They should be better than. They should be the fourth team, as in like the players that they have and all that stuff. They just should be, right. But considering what we've seen so far, maybe not. You know, same way
Come
with
on,
Navi, like
man.
we're just not expecting them to be winners off the bat. Maybe right now with Furia, we're not supposed to be expecting them to make deep runs at tournaments.
Come on, man. Don't be like
But I
that,
think,
man.
look, I think they are a solid shot for the fourth one. I mean, they've had some time, you know, and I'm sure that they will look better compared to the last time we saw them. And last time we saw them, I mean, they still looked kind of like a mess. But that's been 10 days, 2 weeks ago now, and they've spent some more time in Europe. They've played the Pinnacle Cup. At least had some. I'm hoping, you know, that's going to be some confidence boosting win if they end up winning against who are they playing in the Pinnacle Cup final? I forgot now. Well, they're playing it today or tomorrow. I think
They're
today.
still playing, right?
No,
Yeah,
0-0 Nation. Oh yeah, I mean they should beat 0-0 Nation to the final in the final of the Pinnacle Cup in a few hours. And if they do that, you know, that's a decent confidence boost. Okay, we've got some wins on the board before we have to go to EPL or they're in Malta now, right?
Dude, the Brazilian fans are going to love that if Furia are winning. They're all going to be like chanting for the death of 0-0 Nation as an org for leaving their boys out hanging. It's like, yeah, with 0-0 Nation. As Furia are just destroying them.
I was thinking, I just saw the matchup. I'm like, and I had the exact same reaction as the Endpoint social media guy who just tweeted something like, "Oh, Brazilian derby." Oh wait.
Yeah. Okay. That joke took me a second to plug into. I was reading some of our finest chat in Twitch chat. People asking about JL. It is unfortunate what's happened to JL. You know,
Cancelled.
yeah. Maybe he'll be with us in the future. You never know. You really never know about these things.
Yeah. It's yeah. He wanted to be here. Let's just say that
Let's just put it that way.
He wanted to be here, and he was. There's a word in Croatian, but what word would translate in English? He was unable. He was just unable to attend. He was just unable to attend for certain reasons.
For certain reasons.
There's some conspiracies that he's like kicked from the team or something happened. Like he didn't do anything. I don't think he's getting kicked from the team. I don't think it has anything.
That would
to
be
do with
wild,
that.
right?
Look,
If
we don't know.
That's how he found out he was getting
we were
kicked
given,
from the
right?
I can't say he's not. I can't say with certainty. The only people that know are people in the team, and I should shout my mouth because I don't have a piece of info. So that's
see, that one. I got that one. That's a nice one. That's a nice one there. Someone in Twitch chat wants to know if I'll lose my new hair too. So Mona Darlink. So the way it
You're
will
not
work,
going to use the new one. You're going to use the old one.
yeah. So the new hair Mona that was transplanted, I won't lose that because it's from a different part of my head. It's not susceptible to the chemical DHT, which is from the body producing too much testosterone. So the old hairs, which I'm maintaining in position now, if I do not use a combination of minoxidil and finasteride, I would also make sure if you are looking into using said products to talk to your doctor in a topical environment, I'm using it, then the current hairs should stay for a lengthier period of time than they would have previously. Will I lose it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. So that's my answer to you, the internet. Prof, what are you reading?
I can't say.
Oh
no, I was looking at Instagram for questions.
Oh yeah, let me bring. Yeah, that's a good
because
point.
we're kind of done with this, right? So we
well,
want to
there's
go
not. The problem is like we sit here and we go, who do we think's going to win this game? And
so what's your top four then for the Group A? I mean, Vitality's got to be number one. Astralis, I would say, is fairly clearly
they're my
number
top two for sure. Yeah, Astralis, Vitality, the top two. I think we're going to be coming through the group, but it won't work out that way because they have to play each other, right?
Yeah,
so if I was going to be looking at this lower half of the bracket, I was watching a bit of the Movistar Riders. They've never really returned to that identity that they once had, right? Which is a problem.
But they made some really key changes, because NAVI is no longer there. Who like NAVI and Deaths, who were there just before, like they're out now. They got some better fraggers in, so that should make them more competitive.
I want to talk about this Adam S bloke just for a second because people might see that his flag's Romanian, but you just go back and look at his history. You can see he's played for like Iberian family and other Spanish teams.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that not only is he Romanian, he probably also speaks Spanish and probably English as well.
Indeed.
There you go. So they've got him and they added Just from Saw, right? That's because Saw have now got the trio from the FTW roster. Aras Dosse, is it Story and the fucking other bloke? I always forget the other bloke's name. And the reason I learned Aras Dosse is because it's like sweet U-Jerks. That's right. Story, U-Jerks, and Aras Dosse, that FTW trio with Roman and Muterus now. And then Just to join this team as well. I guess he's one of the older members of this squad alongside of Mopoz and Alex now. But yeah, I want to say that FURIA should top that half of the bracket to be the second team locked in. That's what I want to say. But I'm also, Prof's probably right. He's probably like, I'm probably hopped up on name value, just like with the Cloud9 shit. I'm just too horny to see like the teams that should perform. Are they going to perform? Probably not. That's what Prof's telling me.
Unfortunately, like I was on the same ship, but what I saw so far from FURIA has not been very convincing. So I'm going to be
overboard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say I did go double FURIA on my fantasy team. So it's not like I don't trust them at all. And fantasy is more important than anything else.
You're number one now, so yeah, you should.
I did go, but it's also because of the prices of some players and stuff. Like I definitely believe in Astralis a lot more than I do in FURIA, but because they kind of struggled, they are lower in value, and in that part of the bracket, they should be pretty safe to go through. Right?
Can I show you my team, Prof? You tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Because you can bring this up for the people at home as well, I guess. I haven't done all the roles and stuff yet.
I will be affected by you guys now. Fuck.
So I was playing very heavy on the upper half of the bracket because one of them will get to farm the lower half of the bracket. So that was my thought process here. So I've gone with a Magisk Apex Device Buzz Sicko combo. Now, I think Magisk played awesome at Gamers A. I think he was a joy to watch.
Yeah.
I think that Apex is going to farm some bots in the lower bracket if they do lose the game, and if not, like I'll just put him in the leader role, and he'll get me the necessary points. If Astralis end up losing and go down to the lower bracket, Device is going to eat some of these fucking teams for breakfast. Yeah. And then the only player I could afford was Sicko. So
how much Sicko? Is he like? He's like super cheap,
160 or something like that, something around that line.
I really don't like him. Not.
No, he does. Prof doesn't have an issue with you, Sicko. He means he didn't like the pick. He doesn't like the pick.
I don't like him as a pick because I just think it's going to be like a drain of points, and because of EPL is like pretty long. It's like 5 or 6 games. He's gonna drain you points. I'm scared. And this is my team.
I have to take risks though now, Prof. I'm towards the bottom of the barrel. Like I can't go with the normie plays.
You end up like at the bottom though by taking bad.
I don't want to just keep my head above water though. I don't know.
It's not that crazy. You just just keep at it. But yeah, it's like I did Apex Magic as well because I just think it's because of the padding as well. Like they get like 2 or 3 paddings, two padding games if they go like 3-0, like win 3 games in a row. So, and I think they will. And then I just picked the 2 FURIA guys because they're pretty cheap for what they are offering. If they do any good, like they should get a lot of points. And then
Caserado is just 209. Okay.
I can't see it. It's Fallen and Caserado.
Fallen and Caserado. Which
Holy shit.
Probably the 2 best, especially with the op roll on Fallen. And then Campus as my 5th, I feel like is a pretty good pick. Like for your 5th, like
he's 191 as well. It's pretty cheap.
So I think it's a pretty decent combo of things.
Right.
Man,
I like the device pick so much, but he's super expensive.
I kind of put all my beans on him. So I don't know. Maybe my roster will need some adjustments.
I'm like Apex Magic Caserado. I would also start there, but the rest I would probably go a little bit differently.
I mean, there's also like I think there's value in GamerLegion.
I was thinking about Acor, yeah.
Acor is pretty cheap, and then maybe just a punter on some of the. But Fallen is cheaper.
Really?
Yeah, Fallen is 196, I think.
Yeah, 196. So that's
damn. Okay. Well, he had good form in one of their online matches recently.
Yeah, and I think on LAN as well. In Cologne, he was maybe their best performer.
Fuck, man, I should have put my team together before you because I'm just getting so affected by this. I absolutely see your logic at this point. Like I'm like, this actually makes perfect sense. But I would probably just go Apex Magic Caserado Acor, and what's the best I can do with the rest? Fucking art.
If everyone's on the Apex Magic train, I might have to fucking change a bit.
I mean, if you look, yeah, that's the problem.
But the cost for the players, like Flames is so expensive, bro.
Zai was 240, Flames is 225, Spinks is 220. Like Flames is too expensive at this point.
Yeah, that's getting in unobtainable territory there.
Yeah,
you don't need that in your life.
Do you wanna
do some questions?
Do playtime, and do some questions.
Yeah, right, Lucas.
We're already at 2 hours. I thought we were going to be like, this is going to be an hour-long episode, but now
I mean, we're always like that.
I think it's just because it caught us off guard with the cancellation. So we were like, oh, what are we going to do? But it's really easy to sit here and talk about stuff and be berated in chat by our lovely fans. All right, Lucas, play the playtime bumper and we'll be right back. We're back. Well, we were already quite young and free in the previous segment, which I imagine was still the recent news segment. But you get a new bumper now. Actually, no, you had ads. Now you're about to have some questions. Was there any good ones, Prof? I was having a little bit of a read before. Let me bring it back up.
There's a bunch of them. I read Sponge and then merge it together.
I'm even going to look at the ones
this
here.
This is a decent one. To your eyes, which team had the best 2023 year so far? But I mean, that's kind of
Vitality, wouldn't it? Yeah.
But I think other than that, if you for you, Chad, can you make like the top 5
of who's had the best years? Their best year?
Yeah.
Well, I would put Vitality as number 1.
Yeah.
I would probably put G2 because of Katowice and Cologne as number 2.
Yeah.
Ents as number 3. FaZe won the Grand Slam this year with Pro Leagues last season, so maybe I'd notch them in at number 4.
And then probably Heroic, right?
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot about Heroic. Fuck, I can't.
They're probably somewhere there with FaZe, maybe even 4.
I'll
maybe
probably
Heroic
say
ahead of
3
FaZe
for Heroic. Yeah.
Yeah, so but that's the thing. Like, I feel like Ence's stint is a really strong stretch they've had, and it's even expanded over the player break now.
Yeah,
like and they were looking really good, I thought, in Gamers 8 in terms of the approach to the game, the shots they were hitting, everybody looked on form. I might down. Put FaZe 5th, Heroic 4, Ents 3, G2 2, Vitality 1.
You would still put Ents on. I guess you can. You're right.
Well, I think
I'm thinking about the between Ents and Heroic, I guess, but I guess I'm just looking at the whole year again.
Yeah,
Heroic have second in Katowice as well, right? And so and they have the spring final win versus IEM Dallas, which is I feel like is not that far off from each other in terms of importance, just because of their the status of those tournaments and where they were in the calendar. Heroic have a semi at the major, like it's not. I know that's the recency bias would also probably put me towards Ents. So I think it's pretty even between them, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the stretch from Ents that I'm like really seeing big on here, and I guess it's since they've turned it around since Katowice, right? Katowice was a bit of a nightmare for them, but since then they've done well.
Yeah,
but Heroic have been.
They didn't make playoffs of the major, right, as well, and they didn't make playoffs in Katowice. So
okay. So then maybe Heroic 3 and
I would say
4.
I would say that's like 3-4 could be pretty similar, and then I agree with phase 5. Yeah.
Oh, someone in chat, just quickly, I'm derailing here for a moment. Kevin or Maroon or Kevin, that could be how you the full name. He had a question. I think maybe it was an email, maybe it was on Twitter, maybe I don't know where I saw it, but they asked a question about seeding for events. And I said it's something that maybe we'd talk about here because people don't really get to see how events are seeded.
Yeah.
But that would depend on the tournament and the way that it was structured with their rule book, right? But I think, for example, like an ESL event, they probably use ESL World Rankings to seed an event. But when you seed an event, you have a cutoff point. Like you've invited all the teams and you know who's going to be there and you have to seed them. So the brackets, Pro League's the perfect example, and you know where all the weeks are going to be and who's going to be attending which week. You don't want to seed it a week out and then have to book everybody's flights and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So different tournaments have different time periods of when you're going to seed them, and some tournaments would use their own ranking. Some would use different rankings. I imagine that some of the smaller tournaments on the circuit, maybe some of these online things, might even use HLTV's rankings to help with seeding, just because of how difficult it can be from time to time. But a lot of it, the ones that have publicly available rule books, a lot of those will have the information in it and tell you exactly how they do everything.
And the rule books are often linked on Wikipedia, actually.
Okay, that's a nice way to cut into it.
Or just Google it for like you can find it like that. But Blast, for example, do the team seeding thing for their stuff, which also delays things, and that's like kind of how the whole what's it called, the roster lock that they have is tied to that, because like you do the roster lock and then when the rosters are available they share them to the teams, and then the teams rate the rosters. So, and then only after that do they decide the groups, which decides the travel days and everything. So that's a kind of a minus of the whole player seeding thing can be that you don't know, you have this whole another step of like talking to people and waiting for the results and then putting it all together.
Yeah, I put my team together, by the way.
I just had a look at it
while we were talking. I like this actually. I've been brainstorming for a moment. I probably might change it still, but Magic Spinks. So I went kind of big on Vitati for obvious reasons. Then Hampus, Sicko because he's cheap as fuck, and I think it's just like one players will just have to thank me if I have so many stars in one team, and Caserado.
Okay.
Like, don't forget to put on the rolls.
Yeah. Well,
you might need to change a few things here, maybe. This is it's a good start.
I don't know. I'm like Caserado, Spinks, Magic. I think Caserado just has to come.
Yeah, but you and I both have we both have players who are just gonna be sinks of points. We're just gonna lose.
I think Hampus will do okay.
All right, fair enough. We'll see.
I just think Hampus is obviously like up and down, right? But his ceiling is actually fairly high, So like the return on investment can be like it's high risk, high reward type thing. I think Sicko, I mean, obviously, like we're not expecting Greyhound to be any competitive, but I'm hoping that at least he will only play 3 games. He will only play 3 games so that he doesn't tank me too many points, And I have enough stars like for the other side that I hope that they'll make up for that. But I might still change it. It's just something that I whipped up right now, literally as we were talking.
All right. The gentleman, Kevin, there was one of the fans in Riyadh I was talking to. I said I would bring it up on the show, so it's a good thing you reminded me. Otherwise, my sieve brain wouldn't have been working.
There's a question.
Yep.
Kaner asked, does Chad get paid by HLTV to do this podcast?
Yes.
Is this actual question? Shocking. This is an actual question. So someone, maybe people don't know. Maybe people thought you're just volunteering here.
Yeah, well, it's a good gig. I like coming here. We get to talk about Counter-Strike every week. But I do get paid, guys. Like, it's how I keep the lights on. Quite truly, HLTV is how I keep the lights on. It's what I pay all my bills with. So it's a good job. I like it here.
This might be a good question for all of us. How long do you think you want to keep up doing this?
Doing what? Like
Casting.
There's a podcast?
Says
CSGO or-
casting. That's a casting. So whatever your main job is right now.
I want to be involved in Counter-Strike until I die. But what I'd be doing, I don't know. I'm not sure. The way I look at life is you want to be doing something you enjoy. So if I wasn't enjoying what I was doing, then I'd be looking to do something else. But I know for a fact that I want to make sure that I'm involved in Counter-Strike in some way or another as my work. I've done a lot of different jobs in my life, and I don't have any interest in returning to any of them, and nothing gets me as excited for life as Counter-Strike. So something Counter-Strike related. But if in terms of commentary or analyst or whatever, I don't know. I don't think I could put a time frame. I don't think I can put a time frame on that. I don't know. One day I'll probably wake up and I'll go, this isn't fun anymore, and I want to look for something new. But at the moment, I'm still enjoying what I do. So for me, that's my answer.
Yeah.
So you don't have, you think you're going to be, do you think it's reasonable? Not reasonable, but can you see yourself casting in 10 years?
10 years, fuck. I don't know. I think that's a bit unreasonable, isn't it? I hope someone's replaced me by then.
But at the same time, like,
I mean,
like
there are
in
people like in
football-
F1 who are like, yeah,
same.
exactly. Football, F1, whatever it is, like on all these sports, there are some like really legendary names that really keep up for a long time, you know?
Yeah, but I know for a fact, like, I get annoying in my own head. I could only imagine how annoying I'd get to people after like another 10 years or something.
I think the slight problem with CS in general, you know, compared to all these sports, is that like you commentate on a lot more games than the average sports commentator, you know, because
That's true.
Like, let's say in F1, you know, they have whatever it is, 25 races this year or something like that, but that's 25 times whatever it is, 2 hours that a race takes. So they commentate for 50 hours in a year.
Yeah. So you hear this person like 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
And
I would hear you like what,
6 hours a day.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
But that's the thing. So that's maybe why, you know, there's not so much
longevity.
That's why in CSGO, like, fans get tired of people just because like you just listen to them so much.
But that's the thing. Like, I think that might be something that the fans don't realize is we understand that as well. It's like one of these things where it's like, we understand that you're hearing us a lot, and we try not to say the same things all the time. Unfortunately, I don't know how many people have tried to have unscripted dialogue just melting out of their brain for hours at a time, but you tend to accidentally say the same thing. Even if people in like forums like, oh man, he says this all the time. And then I read it and I'm like, they're right. I fucking do say that. That's my crutch word at the moment. I need to stop it. And then I'm casting, I say the word and I'm like, you fucking idiot. They're going to make a thread about you again.
Yeah.
Fuck. You know?
I mean, the problem is just like with the sheer volume you're doing, like, it's impossible for you not to, and to create some tendencies, you know, like you would have to work crazy hard on top of already casting so much, you know, to try to reinvent yourself all the time. Like, it is not going to be sustainable.
I need to read more. I need to, like, if I was
increase your vocabulary.
Yeah, ingesting more, it would be better. But hey, the same with a lot of things I do. What about you guys? How long are you going to do this for?
I don't know. I've been doing this for 10 years in HLTV only. Before that, I was doing for maybe 2-3 more years. I was writing in on Czech's website. I'm not thinking about stopping.
Yeah, I kind of think the thing is, if you're doing what you enjoy, like, I hear people come into the industry and they're not just hardcore one game. They want to work esports, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, I was talking to a member of talent about this the other day, and they were saying about people who said, oh, they have 5-year plans and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I think there's nothing wrong with being ambitious or having a plan of what you want to do and stuff. That's just never the way things have gone for me, which is really quite fortunate, I imagine, to be able to look at it that way. But like, I've been able to go the path of least resistance. Like, when options come up, it's like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah. Or I'm like, no. And
we've also been a little bit lucky that we were basically in the game that's had the longest, you know, I mean, that's had the biggest longevity of them all, you know. So of course, like, if these casters came from StarCraft, you know, that doesn't exist basically anymore, you know. So they have to go somewhere else. We've been lucky enough to be able to stay in the same game for such a long time, you know. So yeah, I mean, for us, the conversation is a little bit different.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I worried more about the future like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I kind of remember around 2017, 18, I was like, oh, maybe I do HLTV for 1 more year and then maybe I go do something else or whatever. But I think that's changed now that like my position and role changed. So I'm also not doing the same thing that I started doing, which makes it more interesting because I feel like I couldn't do the same thing over and over again. Just because that's how I am as a person. I just need to have to get that like feeling of freshness and to kind of spur me on. And then I have these like a bit of dips of motivation, and then it comes up again because there's a new challenge in some way, right? So
but don't you have that on small things in life as well, Prof? Like you just have something that you kind of like put away because you're fed up of doing it for a while, and you go and you get something else out of your system, and then you want to do that thing again.
I mean, it's literally everything in life.
Yeah.
Like it's also like I had this conversation with my girlfriend a few days ago. It's like you have this time where you're like, why are you laughing?
What was that?
Lucas?
So
we're all adults here, Lucas.
He says my girlfriend.
But he just said my life partner. Lucas, what are you giggling about?
What the fuck? Why is he laughing at me?
Come on,
bro,
Lucas, man.
What
Anyway,
the hell?
Can you explain yourself? I want to hear this.
Nah, better not. I don't want to explain anything. I don't think anything that can come out of
What did you have?
Lucas's
What
mouth
did you have a
now.
conversation with your girlfriend about? Go ahead.
No, it's just like sometimes you have these periods of times where it's like, oh, I want to go, I want to enjoy life, I want to do stuff, let's travel, let's do this, do that. And then you're like, oh fuck, the last 3 months have been chaotic. I have no structure in my life. I want to, wake up at 8, go to the gym, watch my macro input, blah, blah, read books every day, and then you're doing this for like 3 months. It's like, oh my God, I'm
3
tired of
months?
this. You
make it 3 months of being disciplined.
Yeah, sometimes I would say.
Fucking hell. I thought you were going to say about 3 hours. 3 months? Holy
And then it's
moly.
like, I hate my life. It's so boring. It's so structured. This sucks. And then just the cycle. Essentially, I'm the same as the people I complained about like an hour ago.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I'm the same as you. For me, like also my roles changed in the past few years. I mean, Confirm's also been a big change in terms of like just it's a new thing that I'm doing. Now it feels like it's something I'm used to, but like a few years ago it was still very new to me to be on for every week and for a couple of hours and talk.
Cool.
But then I became editor-in-chief, so like suddenly I'm responsible for 10 other people, and like I have to do a lot of other things that I didn't think I would actually enjoy, but somehow it is actually kind of up my alley just because it's something different that just engages different part of my brain or whatever it is, just keeps me fresh, even though I'm still writing, I'm still doing basically the same thing I did 10 years ago, even 12 years ago. Sometimes I pick up like completely random tier 3 news, still like, because I don't feel like I'm above that or anything like that. It's just, what I've always done and what I know I do well. But there's all kinds of new things that happen in the job, and I travel to new events, new locations, still like the things like that. Like it's diverse enough for me to stay engaged, not 100% of the time. Like, of course, everybody has some dips in motivation and things like that, like Prof was talking about, but overall, like every month, I do feel like I'm motivated to keep doing this job.
Well, I think you raised like a lot of interesting points there, right? Like, and same thing with you, what you mentioned, Prof, is like when you found a different role within what you were doing, right? Same thing with this, like, I probably couldn't commentate forever because eventually, you look for a new challenge. You want to do something. That's why, like, from the desk to go into commentary, it's a different thing to do. Going from there to do something else. Like when you have those things, my mum always. When I say she always used to say, it sounds like my mum's passed away. My mum's still with me, thank God. But she always would say when I was back home, change is as good as a holiday. Like something that's just going to re-stimulate your brain, right? Like I know it's not as good as a holiday, Mum. We know that.
But it's a good saying, but it also just sounds so made up. It doesn't sound like a real person would say this. It sounds
that's
like
what my mum would say.
Sounds like a movie scene. Do you see? I see this in my head completely clearly.
Well, she hasn't sat me down and gone, Chad. Change is as good as a holiday.
It's a Sunday. It's in Australia. It has this yellow tint filter over everything. There's a breeze. There's some horses in the background going, ooh. And then
kangaroos running around.
No kangaroos. They'll kill the horses.
Oh yeah.
I think there was this TV, like an Australian TV show with horses that was on Creation TV a long time ago. That's why the horses scene came to me.
Okay.
Probably. We've had a few shows that have made it out of off the shores. What's something
bad Mexico filter? Not that yellow. That's more like orange, like a light yellow.
There was something I wanted to say here.
Something about commentary.
And was promised an HLTV profile, but was robbed of it. HLTV deserves to give him one. I told someone to message me with a link, and I don't see it in my requests. I don't see it on Twitter. Someone said this, and I have no idea about
So
this
what's
game.
he looking for?
He wants an HLTV profile, but I think he played maybe some game that was like a shit tier game.
We played. It was the Goat League. I played in that as well.
Which team was he on?
It would have been his own team. I'm pretty sure.
No, there's no teams. So there's no such team.
Yeah, like my team lost to. Where are we here? Like
maybe he didn't play enough. Like if you play only one map, I don't think it works. I'm not. And there are also some maps that are like inverse. So maybe if you played those account. There are guys. If he deserved one, he would have one. That's
there you go.
That's
the best answer.
That's the reality of it.
And also, it gives owners something to keep walking towards here. We can't give the guy everything. You know, he's got to get level 10 on Facer, and then once he gets level 10 on Facer, then we'll see if we can get him a match page badge. You know, I think that's got to be. You got to get your first steps.
Played in Team Pimp, they say.
That sounds about right.
I don't know. You were on Team Pimp. It was maybe another season. I don't know.
The season before he was on Team Pimp, yeah, because they were practicing together.
Well,
sure.
You know, maybe he just needs to play it again. Maybe next season he gets it.
Oh, there you go. We can work it out. We got any other questions?
Let me see.
Because we could do this for hours, but I've got it up here as well.
Someone said we should do a podcast about love.
Okay.
About love.
Get Lex Friedman on here. The joke that only a few people would get.
I actually watched one or some clips from. I don't watch that stuff usually, but I saw that and it was just funny. The thumbnail was hilarious, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm clickbaited. I'm gonna watch this." And it was kind of enjoyable. Talking about enjoyable, the podcast you did with Freya, that was great.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting time.
The concept is insane. It's so great.
I was surprised with where it went. I was like, oh shit, what did I sign myself up for here? You know, an emotional roller coaster, the ups and downs. We were doing that in a player lounge somewhere, I think, in Dallas. There was no players around.
And then players came.
Oh yeah, people did come at one point. Anyway, we're just going to keep rambling on here. Pro League starting on Tuesday. No, Pro League starting on Wednesday. Wednesday through Sunday with 2 days off every week. One of those will be a media day. One of them will try and get a show done here. We should be aiming for Mondays in the afternoon. All in all, I think as well, we need to, like, all this qualifier Counter-Strike that just happened as well. I think we need maybe not like a specialist, but I would love somebody with like a roundup, because it's going to be very difficult to keep track of all this CS. Like yesterday, there was 3 tournaments I was watching independently of one another. Do we think it's going to be like that during Pro League, or is it going to cool down a bit? Because if that is the case and Pro League's going on, we might need someone, because while I'm working the broadcast, it's obviously going to be very difficult for me to keep tabs on the other things. Maybe we get somebody to come in and give us a whip around of what's happening, if there is anything notable that's happening from some of these weeks that we're missing off the
there's not going to be that much. There's not going to be that much happening during Pro League. I mean, there's going to be some of the CCTs and stuff like that, I'm sure.
But that's pretty normal.
Nothing really out of the ordinary.
Okay. All right. Cool. Donk's playing again tomorrow, I guess. So if everybody wants to watch more of Donk, you can check him out. Later today, we were talking about FURIA versus 00 Nation. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. That's a Pinnacle Cup. What else is going on? Yeah. Check it out. Counter-Strike around the clock.
Counter-Strike. Let's go Counter-Strike. India Counter-Strike.
24/7.
ISF has a drone show. There's a beach tournament in Poland.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the beach tournament in Poland.
Fuck it. It is what it is. But
all right.
Cool.
Let's get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.
Yeah.
Best esports odds, VIP program, and a variety of bonuses. fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO match and tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam, and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. Good vibe, trend.